The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun.
The road to $10,000 runs through the Michigan International Speedway, the Brooklyn Hills of Michigan, the site of round number 9 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. We're getting ready to go for 125 laps around the 2-mile oval. This one is going to be exciting. It's going to be fast, and these guys are going to put on a show. One driver that's not going to put on a show is my co-host this evening. Joe Cortez is en route somewhere, but joined in the booth by the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion Mike Conti. And Mike, this is a huge racetrack. You really have to know who you're racing with. We're going to see some 2-wide, we're going to see some 3-wide, and oh, by the way, there was a brand new rules package, brand new build that came out last week. There's a lot of differences, let's say, from the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, Tim, there's definitely a lot of variables going into this race that we haven't really had to deal with for the past couple months. Build's been static. The car physics have gone unchanged for the last 3 months. So everybody's kind of gotten used to what they've been racing on. But with the latest build, increase in horsepower, a little bit different aero profile, definitely going to shake some things up tonight. I'm sure we're still going to see the same people up front. You're going to have Kenny Humpy. You're going to have the team, Ray Alfalla and the Slip Angle team, Laster. All of them are still going to be up there. But maybe we'll see a few different teams that have struggled throughout the first part of the season come on strong tonight and grab a hold of this rules package before everybody else does.
And on the top of the board when we go racing is going to be Corey Vincent in the number 10, so it's good to see somebody different up near the front. Ryan Lowe with a top 5 qualifying run, and then you have the team with Humpy, King, Bolton, and even Thomas Davis in position number 6, Chad Lawton, Cody Bias. There's 5 members of the team up there in the top, 6 in the top 8 positions, I guess, as we go racing in a few moments' time, about 6 minutes away from going here. When you look at the point standings, Kenny Humpy is up without that drop by 75 points over Ray Alfalla. Ray, in turn, has a 30-point advantage on Chris Overland, but between Overland, Patrick Crabtree, Chad Lawton, there is only 2 points between those drivers. Kenny Humpy, there's a lot that are saying, sign the check now. He's got the advantage. What are you thinking?
Yeah, Tim, it's going to be difficult to catch Humpy. He's proven to be the strongest car each and every week. He's consistent like no other. I have not seen anybody be as consistent as Humpy's been this season in this series history. So unless Humpy falls off the wagon and starts to struggle, which I don't think is going to happen with the time and effort that team puts into this series each and every week, there's no catching him unless something strange or out of the ordinary happens. So Ray, Chris, and everybody else that's chasing him, they're going to have their work cut out for him. And we're going to have a good battle for maybe third on back, because even Ray's out there pretty far right now over Chris. But right now up at the front, it's a one-man show, and all Humpy has to do is run consistently every week. We do have the chase format the last 4 races of the season, so that might close it in a little bit. But even with the drop, I think Humpy's still way too far out there right now for anybody to even consider trying to catch him.
You've been involved in this situation before. You've been here running for a championship. As it gets closer to the end of the season, how's Kenny Humpy going to feel? Is he going to race any different? Obviously, he has a big advantage, but do you think that's going to play into his racecraft at all in those last few races?
It's hard to say. It depends on the situation that he finds himself in, and it depends on how he decides to handle it. There's really nothing I can say or you can say or anybody else can say to try to predict what he's going to do. At the end of the season, I said to myself that I was going to go out there and race every week and try not to think about the championship and maybe ignore possible fuel mileage strategy or something that would be more conservative to try to hold the points lead and be more on the defense. Humpy, might take a defensive route to try to hold that point lead. Might give up a few points, so he doesn't lose a lot. Or he could be offensive like he's been the whole season, be on the offense, and continue to go up there and battle for wins every week. As good as he's been and as good as those cars are, there's no reason why he can't go out and try to compete for a win each and every week, whether it's Watkins Glen later in the season, Phoenix, Homestead, that 58 car, that whole team, they're going to be up there with some of the fastest cars. So if I were him, I would go for it. I mean, he's got such a big lead. It would take a couple catastrophic, wrecks or internet problems or something, out of his control to knock him out of this championship lead.
When you look at the weather here this evening at Michigan, weather's constant, partly cloudy, 76 degrees. The track temp's 102. Winds out of the east at 3 miles an hour. Humidity at 55%. So not a bad racing condition for this evening's race at Michigan. Going to pop the standings up here as well, hopefully. And you look at the top 10. We talked about those top 5 positions. We're going to have a battle for third, sixth on back. Justin Bolton, Brian Blackford, Kevin King, PJ Sturgis, and Cody Bias. And even when you look just behind them, Tyler Hill's only 1 point into the top 10. Matt Busa is only 2 points into the top 10. Are you seeing any surprises there within that top 12? And are you seeing any surprises that you thought would be there at this point in the season?
I mean, I see 2 major surprises right now. That's Chris Overland in third. Definitely a career season for him. He's had flashes of brilliance over the last couple of years, but has never really showed that consistency that would put him up there as a championship contender. So he's up there. That's good for him. And also Matt Busa finally putting together a full season, putting races together most importantly, starting strong, in the middle strong, and at the end of these races he's closing it and not doing anything to jeopardize finishes at the end of the races. So he's doing a good job. My team, Drill Isle, not up there. So I think that surprised everybody going into the season. I think we were one of the teams that people kind of look to beat. And we definitely haven't had the speed. So hopefully they can get that figured out tonight, and we'll see if they can make up some points. But a pretty solid top 10, Tim. The competition throughout this field is intensely strong, the strongest it's been in 5 years, and I look forward to seeing what's going to happen tonight.
And the one other surprise, I think, has to be Nick Ottinger, and we'll mention this off the top of the show. Nick Ottinger from this series for hitting the incident threshold 2 weeks ago at Dover, and also penalized in that event for excessive blocking. He got moved to the end of the lap, I believe it was, so he lost a few points there as well. Ottinger not having the season that he wants to have, and it's definitely not getting any better by sitting out the Michigan International Speedway race. Before we do go to break, before we do go racing, Mike, you mentioned the new rules. What are we going to see in the draft here tonight? Because Michigan, big racetrack, it's going to come into play a little bit. How is this going to change these race cars and the way they dance around the air here?
From what I've seen this week, I've done some Xfinity Series races, and the drafting on that car is somewhat similar to the Gen 6. There's almost like there's a bubble of air now that we've seen at the super speedways that comes into play at the intermediate tracks now, like Michigan. You get up behind a car, you almost push him forward before you can actually try to pull out and get around him. So that's going to come into play tonight, and you can't just run up on the back of somebody like you used to. You're going to have to try to time your moves a little bit differently. There's more fall off tonight. They doubled the fall off more or less this build, so there's going to be more wear. Tire conservation might come into effect more than it has at this track in the past couple of years. So between that, the draft, and of course Michigan is always known for fuel mileage, a 35 to 40 lap fuel window with a 125 lap race. If somebody can stretch a lap or two every run and have this thing go green, you could cut a pit stop out of it. So there's going to be 3 or 4 things going on tonight. All aided by the changes iRacing made last week. So definitely a lot to look forward to. This track always puts on great racing, and there's definitely going to be a good show tonight. Restarts are going to be wild, so we'll see what happens.
Fast-paced, exciting 125 laps coming up for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing at Michigan. Step away for just a few moments' time and bring you back to the starting lineup.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. You got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this.
I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Peak can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, set to go racing at the Michigan International Speedway. 125 laps on the board. And here is your starting lineup. Beginning with car number 10, getting ready to get on the grid this evening is Corey Vincent with a time of 37.499. To his outside, Michael Conti, it's Kenny Humpy in the 58.
Kevin King is third at a 37.53. Ryan Lowe on the outside of row 2 with a 37.55.
You got Justin Bolton in the 36 rolling off in 5th. To the outside, the 83 of Thomas Davis. Great qualifying effort for him.
2 team cars right next to each other, Chad Lawton and Cody Bias.
Ray Alfala, second in points, rolls from position number 9 in the Wendell Scott Foundation number 2. To the outside, Taylor Hurst in the 74.
2 last row cars, 11th and 12th. That's Brandon Schmidt and Timu Evenin.
We got Nathan Wise in the 24 and Patrick Crabtree on the outside in 14th place.
2 more last row cars, 15th, 16th, Chris Overland and Jake Sturgis.
Brian Blackford rolls the 33 from 17th. Casey Tucker in the 28th, 18th.
Second pay 32 car, Danny Hansen rolls off 19th. To his outside is PJ Sturgis.
Former champion of the series, Tyler Hudson, rolls off 21st. To the outside, the 11 of Brad Davies.
David Rattler and Brian Day go 23rd and 24th.
Thomas Lewandowski, 16, and Alan Bowes in the 21.
27th is Brad Mahard. 28th is Stephen Gilbert.
Shane Doherty makes the field this evening. He qualifies 29th, and Trey Eidson 30th.
Brandon Hoff rolls off 31st, and Andrew Fash, the 3rd, goes 32nd.
Tyler Hill, 33rd. Rob Ackley, 34th.
Tyler Laughlin, the 51 car, rolls off 35th to his outside, and 36th is Brandon Bowie.
Alex Warren and Alex Scribner, your next row.
Michael Johnson and Matt Busa, 2 GFR cars, roll off 39th and 40th.
Completing your field, Landon Harrison, Byron Daly, and Adam Gilliland. 43 cars make up the field here this evening, and they are set to go green for the first of 125 laps around the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway. Glad you could be with us here on iRacing Live and all of our affiliates. The pace car going to head to the infield, and Corey Vincent on the hammer. Green flag flies, and we are underway. Vincent with a great start up in front. Humpy and King, the 2 teammates, trying to hold off Ryan Lowe and the rest of this field as we go down into corner number 1.
To get single file for the first 3 spots, the battle is going to be for 4th with the 36 car of Justin Bolton. To his outside is the 38 of Ryan Lowe.
Lowe going to find a spot in the line behind the 36. Top 6 or 7 or so single file all the way back to the car of Ray Alfala, and just ahead of them, the 26 pokes the nose down low on the 38 of Ryan Lowe. 26, 38 side by side. The 2 is going to clear the 83 of Thomas Davis, just as the 26 is going to clear the 38. The 2 now goes to the inside of the 38 car. Ray Alfala and Chad Lawton both on the move early as they pick up a couple spots before the first lap is completed.
Yeah, Tim, we definitely need to watch off of turn 4 about 5, 6, 7 laps into this run. We're going to start to see these cars get sideways. The right rear tire has been really heavily worn this week, so we're going to try to see if turn 4 might be the trouble spot tonight when that right rear tire falls off. So if somebody can keep that tire on it better than the competition, that might smell trouble for everybody else.
The 6 car of Trey Eidson had to start from pit road. He is back on the racetrack right now, and he is currently 1 lap down to the leaders, as you just saw them pass Trey on the back straightaway. 3 car of Brandon Schmidt within the top 10 and looking to the inside of the 83 of Thomas Davis as they go side by side. If you're looking to get involved in all the action here this evening, join us in the conversation on Twitter. You can hashtag NPAS. That's hashtag NPAS. Join in on the conversation and tweet us what you think of this race this evening, 3 laps into the 125 lap distance.
Brandon Schmidt's having a really good run so far tonight. We're only 3 laps in, but either way, Schmidt had his fair share of troubles this year. Been relegated to mid-pack finishes, hasn't been running all that great. So as a former teammate of mine, it's good to see him up there running strong in the 7th position. He's always been good at these bigger tracks. He won a Pro Series race back a couple years ago at Charlotte. So he's looking pretty good right now at Michigan. Really all the slip angle cars, the last row cars, and the team cars once again found their way up front. But ruining the party right now for them is Corey Vincent. He's gone by 0.6 of a second over Kenny Humpy.
36 looking at the 29, the 26. That is a battle for position number 3 as King leads that one. And The Proline number 29, nice white scheme on that race car this week, running in position number 3. But you mentioned it up in front, Corey Vincent leading this race. Could he be the one to upset the team? Obviously, Alan Bowes has won this year. Alex Warren has won this year, albeit on a little bit of fuel mileage, a little bit of pit strategy. Can Corey Vincent straight up beat the team?
I mean, so far so good. I mean, he's got a lot of speed right now. He's easily a tenth and a half up on Humpy lap to lap. That last time by for Corey, he ran a 38.25 to Humpy's 38.38. So over a tenth of a second that time by alone. But we've seen this with Humpy a lot this season. He'll start off a little bit slower. Really all the team cars do. They start off a little bit slower, don't show a lot of speed the first 5 laps. But after 5 laps, as they go on into the run, they don't fall off as much. They keep their speed better than everybody else, and they come on stronger toward the end of the run. So we'll see if they can do that. But right now, Vincent's looking good. Somebody else who's looking good, Cody Bias back here is not running too bad. He's trying to pass Taylor Hurst right now for the 10th spot.
And the 15 of Patrick Crabtree looks on from behind as well. This is the battle for 10th, 11th, and 12th. Taylor Hurst trying to defend that position, but he will lose 10th to Cody Bias. The 15 of Patrick Crabtree going to move underneath him, and Taylor Hurst is going to lose 2 spots and fall to position number 12. Timo Ivonen behind them. The 47 of Chris Overland also trying to make up a couple of positions early in this race as Hurst looks back at the 15 of Crabtree, but Crabtree will drive away a little bit here off corner number 2 and down the back straightaway. And there's Danny Hansen. There's one of your teammates back there poking that nose of the Ford Fusion out to the inside of the 24 of Nathan Wise. And I believe he's got Brad Davies in tow back there.
It's a drill aisle train right now at the 32 and the 11. And Danny's really good at the intermediate tracks. He won at Charlotte last year in this series for his first win. Currently his only win in the series. But I mean, he's good when you get the big tracks that require a lot of momentum, a lot of finesse with the throttle and the steering inputs. Danny is the one to beat. They're 3 wide behind him right now. Really good racing for about the 21st spot with Dan in the bottom, PJ in the middle, and Tyler Hudson in the Pete car up top.
And that's Alan Bowes just behind them, a part of this battle. David Rattler, the 16 of Tom Lewandowski, a part of this little train that is behind the 4 and 57, who were side by side going into the corner. Brian Day going to try to drive off with it, and Alan Bowes going to fill that hole that Brian Day had in that Plan B sales number 4 as he tries to get by PJ Sturgis. In car number 57, the 21 will have the spot at the line, and 57 of Sturgis will lose 2 spots. And I don't think it's done because Tyler Hudson is now underneath the 57. The 09 of David Rattler is looking underneath the NX number 57, and he might be able to find a spot in the line in front of Thomas Lewandowski if he continues to backpedal. The 01, the Peak Ford, underneath the 57, trying to clear him here.
And David said no need to let the 57 in. He's got to go. He wants another spot. He's going to do it. He's going to drift up a little bit there, but he will get under PJ. So it looks to me right now, the way the draft is working, a little bit different than last build, like we said earlier on in the show. It's more of a line-based momentum system. Yeah, I know it sounds like a bunch of mumbo-jumbo, but I'm going to try to explain it. If 3 or 4 cars get in line together, let's say PJ's on the outside and the 09, the 13, and the 22 get together, they can easily fly by him. Now, if they're all, apart, a mess, it's easier for PJ to hold on to the outside. What I'm trying to say is, guys can start to realize that, and if that really does come to fruition, again, it's different tonight. I'm not out there. I can't see what's dynamically happening, but from up here, it looks like if a team or a group of drivers can work together and try to stay close enough, they can make a lot of speed with the way the draft is working. So that might come into play later on in the race when more of the strategy comes out.
And speaking of strategy, we are on lap number 11 of 125 right now, but the couple of teams that I did talk to prior to tonight's racing action, Mike, they said you can go approximately 39 to 41, 42 laps on fuel. Yes, if you work it backwards, 42 laps would put you in a 2-stop strategy. But you mentioned one thing off the top of the show, and that's tire conservation. A lot of those teams that I mentioned are going to go probably about 30 to 33 laps or so on tires before they're really going to need to come in. That makes it a 3-stop race. What have you been hearing around here, and when are we going to see a majority of these cars in?
Everybody's very tight-lipped, how this stuff goes, so nobody really wants to tell us anything, but it reminds me of the Atlanta race last year. It reminds me of the Darlington race last year, where it was a question of fuel mileage versus, tires. Which strategy would prevail? But they were rubber give you enough time to make up, or with the lack of one pit stop, would that make up more time? And it went both ways. Atlanta kind of went more toward the tire side. Darlington went more at the fuel mileage side. Here, I don't think there's going to be enough tire fall off to warrant an added pit stop. So if these guys can stretch it and save a pit stop, that's going to be the way to go. And they might just be doing that right now. I hate to say that people are saving 13 laps in, because that's usually not what's going on. But as smart as everybody's been nowadays, as out to lunch as we've been, missing the strategy and whatnot, this might be a draft train up here, from second up back to save fuel, so they can make it on one less stop. So again, you have 1, 2, 3, you've got 4, 5, 16 cars up here in a line again, and there's the slip angle cars right between them. So basically you got two teams right there, all seemingly doing the same thing. So they might be saving, or they might just be stuck in this train, not able to progress. But fuel saving is definitely on their minds, and it's going to be something that comes to light before the night's over.
If you guys were out to lunch, I think Danny Hansen has gone back for a second helping, because he's already up in position number 11. Made a couple of evasive moves there to get past a couple of drivers. Taylor Hurst is back to position number 12. Danny Hansen bringing Brad Davies along with him, and that will be position number 11 and 13 for those two teammates. And behind them, these guys are getting busy. Overland and Nathan Wise side by side. Hudson and Blackford going at it behind them. The 4, the 13, the 41. This was all calm about 3 or 4 laps ago, but this is almost the nature of the beast here. As the 13 car, Brad Mahar, has a moment. He blinks out, comes back on the racetrack. That was almost big, but the nature of the beast here, you can get single file for a little while and run the train around this racetrack, but if somebody opens up that door, doesn't open up the door for 1, it usually opens up the door for 5 or 6.
Oh, definitely. And the guy that's opening up the door, most of the time unwillingly, knows that a train of cars will go on by if he can't get back down. And I think Blackford knew that down the backstretch a couple laps ago, tried to move over to protect his position on Tyler Hudson. But with Hudson the last couple of years, we've seen he doesn't take too kindly to blocking. He moved Ottinger a couple times in Texas last year. I was driving pretty aggressively last week. Actually got moved later in the race out of the 3rd position. Had a really good run going on. So the last person I'd want to block is Hudson. That almost didn't turn out too well. But they've all got it straightened out, and they're all single file again. Looks like the next battle behind them is Sturgis trying to make up a spot on the 09 of David Rattler behind them, side by side, Ackley and Jake Sturgis.
Yeah, and as you said, that the 33 of Brian Blackford makes the move on Tyler Hudson to move him up 1 spot. Brian Day behind him moved up 1 spot on Ryan Lowe, and then you have that cluster back there that you mentioned. The Sturgis brothers are back there, PJ and Jake. You got Tom Lewandowski in the 16, the 22 of Rob Ackley, the 09 of David Rattler. This is the mess just outside the top 20 right now, as you got 2 and maybe even 3 wide. Is that Byron Daly trying to make a move on the inside? Daly going to try to pick up 1 more. Andrew Fayash III is in this mess. You got Michael J. Johnson. You got a lot of very good cars back here trying to make their way to the front of the field early. Byron Daly started way back in 42nd, and I believe with that pass there is going to put himself up to position number 28. Byron Daly is on the move.
Yeah, he certainly is. He started at the tail end of the field in 42nd. So really good move up through the field right now. Has picked up about 14 spots or so in under 20 laps. That 93 car looks really good. Teammate Tom Lewandowski was going up pretty well as well, but now he's stuck on the outside. Stephen Gilbert in another team car, that 37 car back there, is going to try to take the 33rd spot from him. Not going to do it now. Fayash goes to the outside, but again, Tim, it looks very similar to last year's race. Really, a lot of drafting, a lot of single file racing with small packs that are very aggressive mixed in between. So you go all the way up here right now, just outside the top 10, the 12th position. You have about a 5-car pack with Timu, Brad Davies, Casey Tucker, Chris Overland, and Taylor Hurst going at it right now, trying to pick up some spots.
And we're bouncing around a little bit here, and that's why, because there are so many of these small little pocket battles that we're seeing here. The 47 now to the inside of the 11, the 28 of Casey Tucker just ahead of those two, and a couple of anxious moments there going into corner number 3 for the 28 of Tucker. The 11 of Brad Davies is going to come close to scraping the wall at a corner number 4. He's going to lose 1, 2, 3, and here comes the 01 of Tyler Hudson, going to try to grab 1 more as well. As This is a pretty exciting battle going on here, and there's not much of it going on up in front. Corey Vincent is your leader by 1.5 seconds over Humpy, King, Bolton, and Ray Alfala, your top 5. The closest battle within the top 10, Mike Conti, I believe Cody Bias may have just got past Brandon Schmidt, and Thomas Davis a couple laps ago just made that same move, so they are moving up, and Brandon Schmidt is back to position number 9.
Here comes Bolton underneath teammate Kevin King for the 3rd spot. Looks like he'll probably get it here. Shouldn't be too much of a fight. Kevin's going to try to close the door on Ray, but he is definitely under there, so he's going to have to leave that open. Here comes Lawton, another team car, trying to take the spot as well. But Kevin's car looks pretty good tonight. King's been making some pretty good progress the last couple weeks, as he has a small swerve there off of 2. Really good progress, showing a lot more speed than he did at the beginning of the year. So good to see Kevin King running up front again.
And he's got the 26 breathing down his neck right now, the 29 car of Kevin King. You mentioned right there the 2 of Ray Alfala, the 36 of Justin Bolton. Nice little battle here, starting to shape up for position number 3. And that's about 2 seconds or so behind your leader. That's your top 3. You got the 83 of Thomas Davis back there as well. That's starting to shape up to be quite the little battle amongst themselves, as Kenny Humpy may have just knocked off a 10th that time on Corey Vincent.
Yeah, I've been watching that. He's gaining ever so slightly every lap. It's hundredths, it's thousands. That lap, though, close to 3/4 of a tenth. So again, that 58 car looks to be coming on stronger the second half of the run. So, all Vincent can do right now is try to hold on to this, drive out the windshield, don't look in the mirror, and try to make it to the first pit stop. They're about 15, 16 laps away. So at the rate that Kenny's going, I don't think he's going to catch Vincent, but that was over a 10th that time. So the closing rate's definitely exponential at this point. So we'll see how long it takes Humpy to get there.
Lap 23 being worked on the board, and Joe Cortez has joined us. And Joe, you joined us at a great time because everybody loves Michigan. This is a great battle here. 26 underneath the number 29. That's the battle for position number 5. 29 falling back. But Joe, it's getting to that time. We always talk with Tony, tire conservation against fuel conservation. It's going to be one of those races. It's got a long green flag feel to it right now. And these guys are going to start screaming for tires here within the next 10 laps. Some of them are going to stretch a little bit on fuel. What are you seeing so far here?
Well, Michigan is always known for that great long green flag run strategy. These guys can run this car wide, they can run it fast, and they can run it deep through these gigantic turns at the 2-mile D oval here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. And right now what I'm seeing is a lot of guys playing the conservation game very well throughout the field. They're staying in line, they're not doing a whole lot of passing. When the opportunity comes up, they will take it. But other than that, they don't want to push these cars too far. And Mike Conti hit it right on the nose. He hit it right on the nose earlier when he said that right rear is going to go out in a hurry. Those tires are going to go out in a hurry if they push this car too hard. So, do I anticipate some a 3 pit stop race? Absolutely. If we have yellow flags, we expect them to come in every single yellow flag we see out here. That being said, these guys are not going to take any risks, and I do believe, and I say this when we go to Auto Club as well, I do believe this race will be won and lost off pit road.
At 3 wide back here, just outside the top 10 behind Chris Overland, Brian Day on the bottom, Casey Tucker is in the middle, and Danny Hansen falling like a stone. The 32 car falling back here. Comes Blackford at the bottom to try to cover that position. So typical drill aisle problems, it seems like, guys. Decent short run speed, nothing to have in the long run. So Danny's falling back right now. Byron's still making some pretty good progress, and so is Tyler Hudson for that matter, all over the back of the enlightened movie car of Danny Hansen.
So the 32 car comes off of corner number 2 down the back straightaway. The 01 just behind him and possibly using up a little bit of his stuff. Started in position number 19, was all the way up to knocking on the door of the top 10, and now is back to around 16th, 17th place as we run on lap number 26. And Corey Vincent is going to have some company here in the next couple of laps. After pulling away from Kenny Humpy by over 2 seconds, Humpy is beginning to reel in at car number 10. And not only, Joe, is he reeling him in, he's reeling him in big. The last time by, it was over 0.2 of a second that the peak number 58 knocked off the gap of the 10. Corey Vincent is going to have some company really, really quickly.
If Corey Vincent listens very carefully, he can start hearing that bottom. You know that, Dave? The Jaws theme, that's what he's going to start hearing in his car here really, really quickly as the big shark starts to draw in on him closer and closer. Last time by, they were only 0.4 of a second away. I've got a feeling that Kenny Humpy might even bisect that by the time we go back around, if he hasn't passed him already. And now you're seeing the strength of the team once again. These guys know what they're doing. They know what they need to do to set up these cars perfectly. And Kenny Humpy, who's had a flawless season so far, will be flawless once again. But then again, guys, we haven't seen pit stops yet, so an early lead is great, but you're still only on lap 28. You've got over 90 of these circuits left to go.
Yeah, right now, I mean, Kenny is just hunting him down. I mean, quarter of a second each and every lap. That was a 39.08 for Humpy, with 39.29 by Vincent. Now, the only thing that's going to slow Humpy down right now, guys, is that little bit of aero push that we have. Starting at about 0.3 of a second back, you start to lose the nose a little bit, and the caution is out. So no need to worry about that.
So yellow flag is out, and that might have saved Corey Vincent a little bit. We got trouble in corner number 2, and it's Brian Blackford in the number 33 going around. And tough break for Blackford. Joe, he was involved in that little top 15 or so mix, and he and the 01 of Tyler Hudson get into it, and the 13 comes in and collects the bones. Brad Mahar gets into him, and very close quarter racing. And Joe, Mike Conti mentioned it a little bit earlier. I know the 01 and the 33 were going at it pretty hard, but they weren't the only one in this little fracas here in 1 and 2.
They were not, but they were the main aggressors in this little fracas right here. The 33, I'm not exactly sure what happened. Either the spotter for the 33 said, yeah, you're clear, come on down, or the spotter for the 13, or the 13, driver of the 13, Brad Mahar, saw the 33 coming and said, forget it, I'm going to get around him anyways. Nonetheless, the 13 gets into the 33, spins the 33 around, and that will bring out the first caution flag of the evening, which means only one thing. Our first set of pit stops are pending now.
Definitely 4 tires in these pit stops, guys. I don't think you could do anything different. 30 laps in the tires. Basically need a full tank of fuel. You're not in any type of differing fuel window to where you can try to do some sort of wacky strategy to get off sequence. 4 tires filled up with fuel and try to go from there. Get the best pit stop you can. Maintain that ever so important track position. Get up pit road as fast as possible.
Down to pit road, and everybody is coming down to the attention of their crew. The 10 of Corey Vincent has led since we dropped the green flag, and we'll see if he can continue that off pit road. Vincent trying to upset the team, or what has been the story for most of this season. 10 car to pit road in his box, and he will go to the right-hand side of that race car. 2 tires in the right, and the left sides are going to have 2 tires put on. It looks like Tyler Hill may have missed his box because he's going to come off first. And it's going to be Vincent, Humpy, and the rest of the field. Joe, did you happen to catch what happened to that 9? Because it doesn't look like he stopped because he was all the way back outside the top 20.
The 9 did not stop. He blew through past his pit box, so he's going to have to come down again, look for tires and fuel from that crew. You had a very confused crew down there looking at him like, what you doing there, boss? As he just passed right by. So tough break for Timmy Hill as he passes through. He will. Good news is he should pick up the point for leading 1 lap unofficially. But that being said, it doesn't help a whole lot when you're going to lose all those points for having to start at the back of the field. Corey Vincent in the lead, Kenny Humpy, Justin Bolton, Ray Alfalla, and Thomas Davies. And I don't know about you there, Mike, but it really looks like everybody kind of did the same exact thing. 4 tires, full tank of fuel, down and away.
Yeah, barring any type of adjustments that we don't know about up here that they could have made, whether it be wedge or tire pressure, maybe added a little bit of tape. You couldn't really do anything much different. So that was as to be expected. Everybody's on the same strategy. Looking at that pit road sequence, the biggest loser on that out of the top 10 was Kevin King. He fell back from inside the top 5 to the 8th position. So a little bit of track position to make up for the 29 car, but as fast as he was in the early part of that last run, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Lights are still on the pace car, so we'll take this opportunity to step away for just a few moments' time. Your leader is Tyler Hill. He did not pit. Vincent and Humpy complete your top 3. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more racing from the Michigan International Speedway.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. I'm coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this.
I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Welcome back to the Michigan International Speedway, round number 9 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. We're in the second half of the season already, which gives us a perfect opportunity to remind you in 2 weeks' time, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series takes their summer break. We have pretty much a month break. We're back at Kentucky in July, so be sure to mark that on your calendar. I believe it's July 13th is the next race for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series at Kentucky. But Michigan International Speedway going to leave us with something to look forward to from Kentucky. And Joe, we're getting ready to go racing here. Corey Vincent has led since we dropped the green flag, minus a lap under caution where Tyler Hill led. But now Vincent, can he hold off Kenny Humpy and the rest of this field on the short run once again?
Well, he did it before. He definitely had the car to beat on the short run before. He definitely was able to get away from Kenny Humpy, but the question is, if Kenny Humpy did any adjustment to that car, it might be a brand new ball game. We'll find out. Here's a green flag back in the air once again, and Corey Vincent wastes no time, gets 3-4 car lengths over Kenny Humpy. Humpy drops down to the low line to work with teammate Justin Bolton. Now Ray Alfalla on the high side, and the two-time champion doing everything he can, digging high to try to keep up with those team drivers. Not gonna work though. No, it will, as Alfalla tries a crossover on the backstretch.
Yeah, Ray with the classic over and under move off of 2, carry the momentum off the top. He'll try to take the spot from Humpy. He'll do that. 36, and Bolton will let his teammate back down the line. He'll go single file throughout the top 10.
And while this is all happening, Corey Vincent beginning to drive away a little bit here. 1 lap after the restart, Alfalla will now find his way to position at number 2 with Humpy, Bolton, and look at Brandon Schmidt back there on Patrick Crabtree. That was almost big going down into corner number 1. Schmidt going to pick up the position. Crabtree going to fall back behind. That is the battle for 8th. And Casey Tucker with an early top 10 run for the number 28 team, looking to put a couple of extra sponsors on that car. He's on the inside of Crabtree now, going to move for position number 9. Not a bad run early for the 28 car as he's up to the top 10.
The 28 car really making some noise early, using the draft to his advantage. Did you see how he socked up on the bumper of that number 3 of Brandon Schmidt to get the advantage, to get up in that group? He's able to do so very successfully, and now he's going to try to ride on the back bumper of Kevin King. King, who had a good finish here a couple weeks ago in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, looking to build on that once again. He's not in any mood to give up any spots, but he might not have a choice as Casey Tucker comes down low once again.
And moving back outside the top 10 to around the 15th spot, Overland has not been going in the right direction since the restart. He's been caught on the top, had a few instances of contact, a couple of cars trying to pass him.
38 in trouble. Sorry to cut you off, Mike, but 38 was in trouble there just a second ago. Now 77 sideways. almost could have been big as the 38, and it looks like the 82 might have made contact. Yellow flag will stay in the flagman's pocket. It'll be still green flag, but very scary moments for Ryan Lowe and the 38 team as they almost bought the farm in 3 and 4, Mike.
Yeah, that was a really scary incident right there, but they rounded it up and they're good to go. But still back on the 47, he is still on the top. A little bit of drafting help right now by the 57 of Sturgis, but he's still not going anywhere. So from inside the top 10 or right around there on the restart to back outside the top 20, overlimping that last row Motorsports field at entry, not going in the right direction.
And he's got the 74 Taylor Hurst now to the inside. The 47 goes down on the almost to the apron as the 57 and 22 go side by side in front of him. We're going to see these little pockets as we move through the field out beyond the top 10 right now, as that's the closest battle I think on this racetrack right now, Joe, as it's kind of subsided a little bit. Nathan Wise in front of them goes down towards the apron trying to make an evasive move on, I believe that's Alan Bowes in the 21. And that's the nature of the beast here at Michigan. We're going to see these little pockets of racing all throughout the field, and it doesn't matter if we're 1 lap into the run or 30 laps into the run, they still put on a show.
Well, you're seeing everyone getting a little aggressive here, and when you're outside the top 15, you're outside the top 10, so Brian Day fighting off former champion Tyler Hudson and Timo Vonen right behind them. These guys can get aggressive. These guys can find a way to break through the field. They have nothing to lose, literally. So at this point, they're okay going on a different pit cycle than those in front of them, because the worst, I guess, what's the worst that can happen? They lose any more positions? These guys are digging as hard as they can, and I can't blame them. Another guy digging as hard as he can is your leader, Corey Vincent. Last time around, 0.7 of a second over Ray Alfala, nearly a second over Kenny Humby, and this time that lead looks to grow.
Just like the first run, Joe, Vincent looks really strong the first 10, 15 laps, pulling away by a 0.5 of a second, 1/10 of a second every lap over Ray and Humpy. Now, the only difference between this run and the first one is that Humpy isn't in second to start the run. He's now in third. So he'll have to pass Ray and try to get up to Vincent, in the second half of the run. So it's going to be a little bit more work for him. But again, we'll see here as the tires start to wear out, see if Humpy can still do the same type of work in the first run. But with the added aero effects behind the 2 car now and the 10, might be harder for him to try to get a run up to them, but we'll see what he can do.
24 was dead sideways off of corner number 2 the last time by. He's being passed 3 wide as he is on the outside going backwards. He was inside the top 20, and that last lap by the scoring loop, he is 26th and continuing to fall back. He'll be well outside the top 30 the next time he is back across the stripe. But Joe, I know you saw that. What happened with that number 24? Was there any contact there that sent him back outside that top 30?
No contact with the 24, Nathan Wise coming off of turn number 1. It looks like he just got too wide off the turn, almost got into the wall, saw it, and tried to make an evasive maneuver. Unfortunately, he overcorrected. He got sideways, went back into the wall, able to keep it moving the right direction. No yellow flag on that incident, but the 24 definitely has some heavy damage all across that right side. And now the 24 is going to be playing catch-up for the rest of this race. With that damage on his car might as well be done for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's really tough to say with the damage this build. It seems a little bit more forgiving, hard to wall contact, pancaking, that sort of thing. Doesn't seem to really affect the straightaway speed as much as it used to. So Wise might be okay, but I mean, that's a lot of damage on the right side. Whole right front fender's hiked up in the air. So that's definitely not going to be good for the downforce. And he's definitely not looking too strong right now as he almost catches the wall off before Blackwood's going to try to get the spot from him. So it's going to be a tough night, a long night for Nathan Wise, unless they can fix that damage under the caution. The guys do have more capabilities to fix damage now. It might take longer, but the pit crew will fix more damage than they used to, because the whole, as Laughlin gets loose, he's going to save it. Nice save up there, guys. Look at that.
And that's around position number 29, and everybody going to go by him 3 wide behind him. 77 of Fayash underneath, 33 of Blackford going to follow through, and this is really the closest battle on the racetrack right now, this Hornet's Nest just outside the top 20. Most in the top 10, 15 getting single file, the 11 and 77 going at it. That would be around position number 30. Teloff fell back a few spots all the way back to position number 37. Davies and Fayash is for 34th and 35th. And this is one of the most exciting battles on this racetrack right now. Speaking of this racetrack, you could be on this racetrack if you get on to the iRacing service. We got a promo code down on the bottom of the screen. Write that down, and maybe under the next caution, get in, sign up, and enjoy some of the iRacing. You're going to get 3 months for the price of one with that code, along with the late model stock, along with some great content to get you started on the iRacing sim. And who knows, Joe, you could be racing in this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series sooner rather than later.
I don't look to me to do that, but I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there. Number one, will love to race on the virtual tracks that iRacing has to offer. Number two, will be very grateful that I'm not going to be a rolling chicane for them to run into. Single file now all the way out through this field for the most part. The only, not even any passes going on through the top 10 as Corey Vincent continues to retain his lead. But Corey Vincent's lead looks like it's starting to get chiseled into a little bit by Ray Alfala, Kenny Humpy and company, though Humpy not as strong as he was, not reeling in Corey Vincent as quick as he was. 1.6 seconds the gap between Humpy and Vincent last time around. So, Mike, I'm going to ask you this from the driver's perspective. We saw a lot of aggressive driving that last time around. We saw a lot of guys really trying to test this car and test the tires and really give this the new road test of the new model here in iRacing. Is it too soon, too quickly?
I don't think so. I think these guys were well prepared going into tonight. Had about a week to test. Guys, some of these guys test like crazy. Make my bid for a championship last year look pretty weak. Justin Bolton, Cody Byatt, hundreds of laps a week, even a day. So they know exactly what these cars are going to do at every point in the run. And they were aggressive the first run because, racing around a huge pack of cars, that's something that they can't really test, even though they're a bigger team. You can't get 35 cars out there all at once and see what your car's going to do in that kind of situation. What I am noticing this run is that it isn't as stacked up in the front of the field. You don't have a 10-car train for virtually second on back like we had the first run. There was some fuel saving going on that first run. I can almost guarantee that. This run, it's not worth saving fuel because even if you save fuel and stretch this tank as long as it can go, you're still going to be 10 to 15 laps short on fuel. So you're forced into making a second pit stop now, whereas before you could try to cut that extra pit stop out, play a different strategy. So there is no fuel saving, not a lot of tire conservation it looks like at the moment either. These guys are just pedal to the metal, go as hard as you can, and see what your car's got throughout the run.
Up front, Corey Vincent continues to lead Ray Alfala by just under a second. Kenny Humpy, Justin Bolton, Chad Lawton, your top 5. Most of the drivers within the top 10 right now picking their battles as they come. The 3 of Brandon Schmidt over the back bumper of the 27 of Cody Bias. That is for 8th and 9th place. Just behind them, Joe, it looks like Casey Tucker has freed himself with 10th place. But just in his rearview mirror, got Patrick Crabtree, Brian Day, who just made the move on Crabtree for position number 11. Then you got Tyler Hudson, Timu Ivonen, and I believe that's Brad Mahar back there, a little 5-car freight train for position number 11 on back as these guys continue to go at it. This time by lap 49 completed. Very fast-paced race so far here at Michigan.
Very fast-paced so far, and we've only had one caution flag, and I'm about to hold my breath saying that right now because if you remember, the last caution flag came out right around lap 30, right when we were right in the beginning of that pit window. So I'm wondering almost if we're going to see a very similar incident happen here in the next 10 laps or so. Being told that the 21 may have hit the wall. That's Alan Bowes, as he's getting passed now by everybody underneath him. So Alan Bowes might have some trouble out there as well.
I think Bowes just knocked the speakers right off his desk. That was a huge hit off a turn too, and I think we've all been watching him the last couple laps slide back extremely quick, and that car did not look good whatsoever. Now the whole right side's knocked off of it, so a tough night for Bowes. Just got even tougher. Him, Nathan Wise, a couple of those guys that are nursing damage, they're going to have to nurse it to the next pit stop and see if the pit crew can fix the damage. But it looks lean and green right now, guys. There's some racing in spurts, but nothing that could really provide a caution right now from what I can see.
It's been feast or famine this season for Alan Bowes. A tough break for him here, as you guys mentioned. Bowes all the way back, and it looks like he may be coming to pit road here. The 21 definitely going to come down to the attention of his crew to try to get some of that knocked out. Caution flag on the speedway. We got a caution behind him.
Danny Hansen, the 32 car around off of turn 4. Looks like he just lost it all by himself, guys. We're gonna have to spool that up in the replay. But car was loose the whole night, but it looks like it might have gotten out from under him there.
Not necessarily, my friends. It looks like, taking a look at the replay, it might be the 89 machine that got into him. That FWAM machine of Landon Harrison may have pulled a FWAM on the 32 of Danny Hansen. Taking a look at the replay, not so much. If anything, he took the air off him, and that will spin out the 32. But I had a feeling, guys, as soon as I said yellow flag, we would see one, and there it is.
And now we're in a fuel window now, so this is going to change everything for these guys.
I could be wrong, but was the 24 car out of fuel down the back straightaway, or did he blow a motor with that car? It's under power, I believe. It's coming down to pit road now. The 24 stops in his box. Could the Sim Seats car not have taken fuel on that last stop, Joe? Because he's down on pit road getting service now to his race car. He looked like he was out of fuel.
Negative right before he crossed the start and finish line to begin lap 51. Heavy black smoke poured out of the 24 machine, and the engine on that thing just went out. And that car is gone. That damage he took at the beginning of that run when he ran into the wall right midway through, that cost him. That cost him the engine, and now he is going to be down on pit road. I don't think they can fix that, and if they can, it's just going to be to see how many points he can salvage from this night. Corey Vincent will lead down Ray Alfalla, Kenny Humpy, Justin Bolton, and the rest of your field. Wholesale pit stops happening now.
And believe it or not, guys, going back to Nathan Wise, that damage is fixable now. That is fixable. It might take upwards of a half an hour to fix that if he decides to go through with it. You never know if he can fix that and have some attrition come into play late in the race. He could gain a couple points that could, be the difference between top 20 or not, top 10 or not. So definitely going to try to get that 24 car back out there.
Yeah, Nathan Wise currently sitting 13th in the championship point standings after 8 races. 4 tires going on the 10 of Corey Vincent, and they'll drop the jack. He is down and away, and he'll win the race off pit road. Question is now, Joe, and I know we like to talk about strategy here. It's lap 53. You can go approximately 40 laps, just maybe a little shy of 40 laps if you save it a little bit on the fuel. Obviously, tires, you're going to want to pit a little bit sooner. But if you go 40 laps from now, you're on lap number 90, 93-ish, which means that you would need to go another 35 laps. Do we see anybody stretch it here on one more stop?
Plausible, but I don't think it's probable, and I'll tell you why. We've already had 2 caution flags, and they've really corresponded right with the fuel and pit strategy windows, so it wouldn't surprise me if we have another yellow flag come out at a very opportune time, say about lap 90 or lap 100 or so, and I think that's going to bring everyone in one more time, and the biggest beneficiary to that is Corey Vincent, because he has been dominant on restarts. He has led all 54 laps without question. Well, he's led all 54 racing laps. Let's put it that way. Timmy Hill may have been credited for 1 lap there by accident. It looks like he's going to be credited for a lap again. No, he's not. Anyway, Tyler Hill's going to be credited for a lap plus or minus. But nonetheless, Corey Vincent is the biggest beneficiary of this. And if you're Corey Vincent, you're almost looking for something to throw out the window at around lap 90, 100-ish, just to make sure you get that caution flag in order to win this race.
Yeah, I mean, if you play the odds, there's more of a chance of a caution coming out at an inopportune time than there is at an opportune time. There's only a small window that the caution could come out at or in to make these guys not have to defer from the strategy that they're on right now. So if a caution comes out in 10 or 20 laps, that's going to throw a wrench in everything. Then they'll have to make an extra pit stop, and then they'll have to decide whether to do 2 tires, 4 tires, all the fuel, some fuel. So there's a lot of strategy going to be played, and as we've seen, like Joe said, there's been a caution about every 30 laps, every 25 laps. So if that trend does continue, we might be looking at some different strategies at the end of the race. But a different strategy right now is Tyler Hill, guys. Looks like he's going to stay out on the track and take the lead here for this restart.
Saw a driver there that was busy a little bit earlier, but now under caution, he can take a little bit of a breath. It's Michael J. Johnson. He's worked up from the 39th place starting position all the way up to 18th place, so he's about halfway to his goal. He wants to get up, obviously, and try to contend for the victory. But Joe, he's in that hornet's nest right around a lot of those battles that we've been seeing in the first 55 laps of this race, where there are 2 and 3 wide racing, and they're stacked about 3 or 4 deep in the battle. It's one of those packs where you really need to hold your breath, and hopefully you come out on the other end with a clean race car. And so far, so good for Michael J. Johnson, running in position number 18. You might need to watch that car as we continue to go through here. Hill is going to stay out. The cars are doubled up. And Joe, hold on. This number 9 car might give us a show.
You know, I'm going to be watching the 9 car, but I'm also going to be watching probably about all the way back to position number 9, 10, and so. Brandon Schmidt has had a hot little number all night, and he wants to continue to dig, to make that car dig. Kevin King has been in the mix all night. Tyler Hudson, the 0-1 machine, has been in the mix all night. And then there's guys like Brad Mahar, Jake Sturgis, Brandon Bowie, who have all been fighting in their own hornet's nest midway through the pack. Well, I think Tyler Hill and Corey Vincent will give us a great show at the start. I think the guys about midway through, about 10th and on, are going to give us the big show to watch when we get back to Green Flag Racing.
2 things to remember here. Kenny cannot change lanes or try to pass the 9 car if Tyler does spin the tires. There's a very good possibility of that. Quite a few laps on those tires. It's going to be really hard for him to get up through 2nd and 3rd gear. The best thing he can do right here is to roll faster and try to go sooner, minimize that and make it best for himself. But we'll see here, guys. It's going to be a heck of a restart. Might open the door for somebody that hasn't led the race yet.
Could this be the opportunity that a guy like Rael Fowler or Kenny Humpy on that 2nd row need to get past Corey Vincent? Vincent on the outside, Tyler Hill on the inside. Green flag is out here, and there goes the wheel spin to the inside. And 58 and Kenny Humpy going to go through the middle. The 2 of Rael Fowler cuts down. The 9 got out of his lane. The 58 went to the middle 3 wide. I don't know, Joe, how the officials are going to see that and whether that's a lane change or not.
Let him have it.
I'm going to agree with the driver. Let him have it. Let him race. Get out of the way, officials. We appreciate the work you do, but this is racing.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do when somebody spins the tires that badly. The only thing he could have done was to check up the entire bottom line and stay behind him, and that would have just caused a huge wreck in the back, which might still happen here, guys. There's cars everywhere. I mean, this is great racing right now. You got 2, 3 wide, 10 rows deep right now.
The 9 car continues to fall like a stone. He's backing up the 27 to Cody Bias a little bit here. Meanwhile, up in front, we got a new leader, guys. It's Kenny Humpy in car number 58, the 2 of Ray Alfala in 2nd. And then that 10 car, who's been oh so strong all night long, Corey Vincent. For the first time under green flag conditions, he's behind somebody. He's behind 2 cars, Humpy and Alfala. We'll see if Corey Vincent can handle traffic as good as he can out in front on this short run. Humpy, though, has some company in the Wendell Scott Foundation number 2, Ray Alfala, on the hunt.
Alfala is on the hunt, and he's had a car that's been able to keep up with your leaders. So let's see what he can do when he gets in traffic. Kenny Humpy, though, infallible so far. Can he remain? That's a $64,000 question. But Corey Vincent, you guys, is a guy I'm keeping an eye on, and I'll tell you why. Corey Vincent has led the majority of the laps, except for the last 6 or so. As you see the 258 go do battle, the 2 will pick up the position. Corey Vincent coming now on Kenny Humpy. Humpy drops from 1st to 3rd very quickly, and I think Corey Vincent just answered my question. What can he do now that he's back a little bit? Well, about the same as he did earlier in the race.
That was a great move by Vincent to get around there. He had to get around that 58 car to have a shot at the 2. I think if he stayed behind him too long, he'd get into that position in the run where he's not quite as good as he is at the beginning. But way in the middle of the pack, we've got 3 and 4 wide again. Michael Johnson out of shape. They're all trying to scramble around him. Huge pack back here for about 25th on back.
That's the 37 of Stephen Gilbert, the 89 of Landon Harrison, a part of that little battle as well. And a lot of these drivers trying to get out of each other's way to a point, let's say. You got a train back here in the inside of the top 10. You got the 26 of Chad Lawton now on the outside. You got Chris Overland on the inside of Kevin King. That's just outside the top 10. But it's all a part of this one little freight train pack that we have. Tucker now underneath the number 26 of Chad Lawton. Keep a half eye on the lead position as well, because the 10 car is reeling in the 2. There's so many battles around this racetrack.
Chad Lawton almost bought the farm after making contact with a 28 of Casey Tucker. Had a bad wiggle on the backstretch. Good news, he was able to save it before he got into Tyler Hudson and company, but now they are starting to bunch up something fierce as the 47 and 01 do business. The 27 and 29, the team teammates bisected by the duo of the 01 of Tyler Hudson and the 47 of Chris Overland, the double clutch HDRN machine. Trying to do business in that mix. Lots of battles going on, lots of guys doing business. You wouldn't know this is lap 62 if you were just tuning in right now.
Overland wisely backed out of that position right there. He was 3 wide, tight in the middle. And, you know, give credit to Chris Overland. He does not race in the best of equipment. He uses an old Driving Force GT, a small Dell monitor on a subcar computer, and he puts the car into places that I don't think a lot of these people could do without the aid of 3 monitors. Like position right there where he was in the middle 3 wide like that, to hold his line that steady and not get into anybody. Really, really impressive. Like I said at the beginning of the show, guys, Chris Overland just showed that he can compete in the series. Yes, he has good cars. Yes, that team is one of the strongest teams in the series. But you have to drive the cars, and Chris has done a fantastic job this year doing so.
Up in position number 3 in the standings and holding off some very close competition, including the driver 2 positions behind him right now, and that's Patrick Crabtree. There's only 1 point in between those two when it comes to the standings when you do not factor in the drop race that these drivers have in the first portion of this season. It's going to be a close battle between those drivers. Just in front of them, it looks like Tyler Hudson has picked up a spot on Casey Tucker, so move Casey Tucker back to position number 10. And the 27 of Cody Bias just behind them in position number 11. One small mistake in this little freight train, and Joe, he's lucky, Casey Tucker's lucky he didn't go back more than that 1 position, because he's got a whole host of hungry competitors behind him.
They are hungry like the wolf, as it has been said before, and I've got a feeling that this hunger is going to continue to grow. Mike, I don't know about you, and I don't know how much testing you've done with this thing, but with this new model, they seem like they can be really sporty and have a lot of fun with this car.
Certainly, definitely. This car, you can turn in better now. It rolls freer through the center, and again, it leans more in the right rear overall, which makes for a much more enjoyable experience, especially at a top level like this. They did, however, have an update after the big build that gave these cars a half a second worth of grip, guys. Before that update, you think these things were sliding around now. My goodness, it looked like it landed on 50-lap old tires. It was absolutely awesome and ready to be done. But again, for realism's sake, the cars are now more in line with what they do in real life. Very grippy for the first couple laps. Huge speeds here, upwards of 205 miles an hour down the straightaways. So these cars, they've got them pretty darn good now. Since the tire model came out in 2011, Dave Cameron, everybody at iRacing, has done a really solid job at progressing every 12 weeks and making this stuff better for us to race on each and every week, each and every build. And I really look forward to when we get the dynamic surface, hopefully sometime soon. That's going to take this series to the next level, because we have great racing already. Imagine a track rubbering in and different lines working. It's going to make this series even better.
And it goes to show here this evening at Michigan that they are putting on one fantastic show. Ray Alfala continuing to lead up in front. It's 0.2 of a second back to Corey Vincent. Kenny Humpy runs in third. And one of the closest battles within the top 10 right now, Justin Bolton holding off Thomas Davis and Brandon Schmidt. There's that car you mentioned once again, Joe. Brandon Schmidt closing in on a top 5 run. Question is can he finally close the deal this evening? He's all up on the back bumper of Thomas Davis.
It's plausible. Let's not rule out anything tonight. Tonight we see a lot of guys doing a lot of different things out here, having a lot of fun with these brand new cars. And I think that we're going to see a lot of things to test these cars that we haven't seen before. So don't rule anybody out, including that 9 of Tyler Hill, who just came off pit road. It looks like an unscheduled stop for the 9 machine for 4 tires, full tank of fuel, and Tyler Hill back on the race surface, albeit in 40th position.
Now, if it can cycle around, Joe, Tyler Hill doesn't get caught with a caution, he'll pretty much be on the same strategy as everybody else, where he'll have to make one more pit stop, maybe not take full fuel, maybe a half a tank of fuel. So, I mean, I know he fell back a lot from that restart. The tires were obviously not on par with everybody else. But if he can catch a break here and have this thing run through a pit sequence, he might be okay. But still, a valiant effort. Try something different. You're not going to win from 34th, and that's where he was before the strategy call. a good job by him and whoever's crew chief tonight. Try something different, lead some laps, get some TV time. A solid effort by them.
Great effort by that team, and you look at some of these other teams in the top 5, top 10 right now. Obviously, Ray Alfala, Corey Vincent up in front, and Vincent has closed the gap once again. Great run off corner number 4 for car number 10 of Corey Vincent, the 2 of Ray Alfala. The Wendell Scott Foundation Vision of Flight Ford leads, but the run down the front straightaway by Vincent. Vincent trying to mount a charge here for the lead position on lap number 70 of 125. Behind them by about a half second, Kenny Humpy, Justin Bolton, and Thomas Davis. The team runs 3rd, 4th, and 5th. As we work down the back straightaway, Joe, it might be a matter of time before that 10 car gets up there, but I think they're going to have to contend with Kenny Humpy here too.
Well, let's not count anything crazy yet, just as a 10. Well, never mind. The 2 and the 10 now side by side. 10 on the apron, 2 on the racing surface. 10 will merge back up, and now he's going to go for the lead. Yes, he will. Alfala forced to take number 2 in the number 2 car, while Corey Vincent will be your leader. Kenny Humpy not terribly far behind. What I was going to say there a minute ago, Tim, before all that happened, was we got about 20 laps to go before we potentially have our 3rd caution flag in our third stop down pit road. So let's not get ahead of ourselves yet. Let's enjoy the next 20 laps, and when we get to lap number 90, that's when we'll really see who's going to be the competition and who's going to fall by the wayside.
And again, the fall off is really going to start to happen here. Latter half of the run, we'll see what happens. But again, Kenny Humpy's closing in. Looks like he has the fastest car in the long run. Ray's definitely falling off a little bit more than Vincent and Humpy. Again, you've got Bolton, you've got Thomas Davis, Chad Lawton, all in the same setup. So, again, if driving styles are similar, which I think they are between the 3 of them, should see the same fall off pattern throughout them. And Kenny Humpy's making a charge again. He's up to 2nd. So I don't know, guys. That's the closest Humpy's been to Vincent this early on in the run. So see if he can mount a charge here.
The last run that we saw that Kenny Humpy was really charging towards the 10, that was the first caution around lap number 30. But keep in mind, at that point, Corey Vincent had a 2-second lead on the rest of the field. Kenny Humpy closed in and was poised to at least make a run at the number 10 when that caution flag came out. We pitted on lap number 53 or so. We're working lap 73, so around 20 laps or so on this run. And that is when Kenny Humpy, on the initial start of this race, Joe, started to reel in the 10 car. The difference is it's not 2 seconds, it's 0.2 of a second, and Kenny Humpy is there on the number 10 of Corey Vincent. Question is, when does he reel him in that extra car length and make the move for the lead position for the first time this evening?
Well, it looks like he can reel him in at any given time. Now, Kenny Humpy did lead a couple laps earlier. As you run on board with Kenny Humpy, he did lead a couple laps here right when we restarted for the 3rd time tonight. He was a very quick-lived lead, but it was a lead nonetheless. Now, Kenny Humpy, he's right on board with him. You see just how close he is to the 10. He could strike at any time. All he's got to do is reach out with the long arm of the team, and he can very easily catch the 10. But right now, I think he's playing conservation games. I think he's waiting to make the pass closer to when we have that pit stop, because the 58 and 10 will probably come down at the same time. When that happens, the 58 will have the advantage, and the 10 will be playing catch-up to the 8, hoping for what will be another win on what's been a ridiculously dominant season for Kenny Humpy and the team.
And Joe, I think that dominance comes from something in that setup that team has figured out over the past couple builds that really makes those cars hang on over the run. If the guys that are doing the cameras can close up on the 58 car at some point, you'll see that the nose of his car is sitting quite a bit higher than the 10 car. Now, why that works, well, I'm not sure. If I knew, I would be doing it, and the drill aisle wouldn't be running good pack right now. But my point is, 58, 36, 83, 26, they all have the same attitude. That attitude makes it good in the long run. That opens up options for them. They can maybe go another lap on tires, maybe another lap on fuel. It won't matter as much. If Vincent did the same thing, he would lose more time. And now Humpy's got the lead. So Vincent really should come in a lap earlier than Humpy, try to get the advantage of the new tires earlier on, and try to leapfrog back around him.
And it was just like it was a time move as Kenny Humpy took the lead. it was the 36 of Justin Bolton that took position number 3 away from Ray Alfala. So Alfala back to position number 4. The 10 of Corey Vincent runs in between the team cars. And this is something we haven't seen all evening. Yes, we've seen Kenny Humpy really quick on the longer run, but now Justin Bolton's really following him and trying to mirror what the Peak Chevrolet is doing, which is now in the top spot. Could this be the night that Justin Bolton somehow pulls away and puts himself into the picture as a winner in this series? Justin Bolton might have something to say before the end of this night.
It wouldn't surprise me, but again, this race is going to be won or lost on pit road, Tim. This is where we've seen all the major moves happen so far, and everyone's set up for the major moves you see here on track. I think when this is all said and done, if you can be good on pit road, you can set yourself up well on pit road, you can set yourself up well for the end of the race. Justin Bolton has done just that. Ray Alfala unable to capitalize, but the 2's got a good car. All he needs is a couple adjustments, and the 2 could be back in the conversation as well.
Yeah, Ray definitely has a solid car tonight. Top 5, it seems like a top 5 car, if not a top 7 car. And that team, that slip angle team, especially to get that car up to positions where it didn't really run all night. And they're already at 4th, so there's not a long way to go to try to capture that win. They can get onto pit road earlier, maybe leapfrog the top 3, and get track position, get clean air on that car. That might be just enough to get him the win. And that really goes for anybody up here. If Chad Lawton, if Thomas Davis, if Bolton, who's all over the back of Vincent. If Brian Day, who's up here out of nowhere, so good run for him back in 7th. If one of them can play a little bit different strategy, get the tires on earlier, they could come out ahead of everybody else.
There goes the 36 to the inside, and Justin Bolton is going to move to position number 2. Corey Vincent thing. I think if we get a short run, I think that 10 car might be tough to beat, as long as he's in those first couple of positions, because it took him a couple laps to maneuver near the front. But now he's falling back on lap 30-ish or so of this run, getting close to what could be a green flag pit stop for these guys coming down and getting tires on these race cars. Lap 80 completed, working lap number 81 of 125. The 2 of Ray Alfala under fire from the 26 of Chad Lawton. Thomas Davis behind him. And I think the 10 car, he's actually keeping with the 36 as they go down the back straightaway. Kenny Humpy pulling away a little bit.
Kenny Humpy's starting to pull away a little bit, certainly, and I'm a little bit concerned about what's going on to the 10 of Corey Vincent. Just as concerned with what's going on the 2 of Ray Alfala as he gets passed now by Chad Lawton. Alfala will drop down to the very tail end of the top 5, could drop out of the top 5 if Thomas Davis, 83, has anything to say about it. They will block him, and Thomas Davis forced to try to figure out something else to do here on track. And guys, I'm a little bit concerned about those cars, and I'm wondering if because they were in the lead, because they were so easy at the beginning of anticipating another caution flag to come out, I'm a little concerned that these guys may have burned up their cars underneath them. They may have burned up those tires underneath them. They may have burned off a little bit more fuel than they wanted, which creates a little less weight on the rear end. So I'm a little concerned, guys, and maybe Mike can answer this a little more. Possible they burned up their cars too 20 laps.
Yeah, they very well could have. Corey Vincent definitely drove harder this run than I think he did the prior 2 runs, just because he had to start a couple positions back more. He got back up to the lead, but he couldn't hold it very long. But definitely, he drove the tires off that thing. I think Ray might have done the same thing. Like you said, anybody that was in the lead definitely was driving harder than the pack of cars behind them that had their draft to back up the corners a little more and save the tires. And you're seeing that right now. The 10's going backward. The 2 even more so are going backwards. So I think you're going to see in the next 5 laps, the 2, the 10, some of the cars that are falling off, when that pit window opens, they're going to come in and get those tires on as soon as possible. If the caution comes out right after they do that, they'll be trapped a lap down. It'll be the end of their night. If it runs through the stop sequence, they'll be way out in front of everybody unless somebody stretches the fuel, takes less fuel and 2 tires later on. Again, you have to balance that time gain from new tires versus the time saved by taking less fuel and fewer tires. So again, a lot of strategy being figured out right now by the slip angle team, the team itself, and everybody else out here trying to figure out what the best scenario for them is.
83 of Thomas Davis, as you mentioned, just made that move on Ray Alfala dispatch the number 2 outside of the top 5. Behind him, you have Brian Day. Consistent run for the number 4. Started all the way back in 24th place, picking his battles, making his way to the front. And I think with the way that car is running, he may have the 2 of Ray Alfala in the next couple laps. Behind them, Cody Bias has to hold off the 01 of Tyler Hudson, former series champion in the Peak Ford Fusion. On the back bumper, the Elwood Designs, number 27. That is a battle for positions number 8 and 9 as we come up at a corner number 4. 85 laps completed this time by. Got 40 laps to go in this one.
So here's the question now. You know, these guys could possibly make it on one more stop, but I've got a feeling that strategy will be truncated if we have another yellow flag somewhere in the mix, which I've got a feeling we will. And now, Mike, I'm going to ask you once again from the driver's perspective, how does that change? Right now, you're at lap 86. You know you may have to come down between the next 20 laps or so. When do you make that call to come down pit road?
And that's all. It all depends on how your car is doing. If you're Kenny Humpy or Bolton or somebody that's moving forward right now, even Brian Day or Cody Bias that are running competitive lap times, you keep that thing out there until you're forced to come in when other guys before you start hitting pit road. Again, it's a domino effect. Once 1 or 2 guys come in, you'll see everybody else follow them because they cannot give up a second and a half a lap. Right now, we're falling off to 39 2s, 3s, and 4s. You start the runoff at a 38 flat. So that's a second and a half, more or less, a lap that you'll be losing if you stay out there on old tires. And again, you might catch a caution and catch people a lap down, but that's not a definite. If you wait too long and that caution doesn't come out, you're going to be way behind them, and there's going to be an insurmountable gap to make up to them at the end of the race. And now Brandon Schmidt's coming in, so let's see what happens here, guys. Let's see if everybody else starts coming in behind him.
Window is open. Brandon Schmidt, he's got one behind him there. I believe that's Taylor Hurst coming down onto pit road. Brandon Schmidt was battling with the 29 of Kevin King and the 13 of Brad Mahar at the time, battling for the top 10 position. I believe Corey Vincent has his hand out the window. Ray Alfala, and he mentioned it, the domino effect happening here, Joe. A lot of these drivers up front going to take the opportunity to come down, led by your leader, Kenny Humpy. The Peak number 58 comes down onto pit road, and along with Corey Vincent and Chad Lott.
Justin Bolton, Kenny Humpy, Corey Vincent, all down pit road, Ray Alfala. And this really surprises me, guys. I am surprised that all these guys elected to come down right at the top of the window. But you know what? If you're going to come down one more time, might as well make it big for everyone involved. Kenny Humpy will pull into his stall first ahead of everybody else, and it should be a 4-tire stop and a full tank of fuel for Kenny Humpy and everyone else involved. Will he be the first one off, though? That is a $64,000 question as the left sides go up on the number 58. 58 down and away, and yes, he will exit pit road first. He will be followed out by the 36 of Justin Bolton, the 10 of Corey Vincent, and the 2 of Ray Alfala.
And that might just be race over for everybody else if we don't get another caution here, guys. Oh, Brad Davies loose off 4. If they don't get another caution, this is Humpy's race to lose now, unless somebody takes 2 tires. But guys, even 2 tires isn't going to do anything at this point because you have to take a full tank of fuel. The time it takes to get that car filled up, you might as well take 4 tires and maybe spend another half a second to a second in there. So it's Humpy's race to lose, just like we've seen the rest of the season. Bolton is close enough. Vincent's still up there. But, I mean, it's going to be really tough for them to do this.
26 car coming onto pit road, the 4, Brian Day. The 27 of Cody Bias had a moment coming onto pit road. Gets it down to pit road speed at 55 miles an hour. So your top 3, or who were your top 3, are now onto pit road. Timu Ivonen is your leader. He stays out on the racetrack. And, gentlemen, I believe he is the only driver to stay out on the racetrack. I believe everybody else may have come down pit road, maybe with the exception of Alex Warren. The 82 is out here as well. But Joe, we know him. He's won a race on pit strategy this season. He knows what he's doing, right? Caution's out.
Yellow flag, yellow flag.
That changes everything again.
Yellow flag is out for the 3rd time tonight, and that, you're absolutely right. That does change everything again. And it looks like it's going to involve the 9 of Tyler Hill, and I'm not exactly sure what happened to him. Looks like he might have got squeezed into the wall by the 74 machine that belongs to Taylor Hurst, and the 9 spins by itself as a result of that, and that's going to bring out the caution flag for the 3rd time. And talk about not a moment too soon, especially if you're one of the leaders that came down pit road just a handful of moments ago.
Now this might not change a lot, except for the guys that haven't pitted yet. It seems to be that everybody that pitted up at the front of the field, Kevin King on up, and that's the 23rd position on up, are on the lead lap still. And they didn't have too many laps in those tires, maybe 2, 3, 4 laps on the tires. I doubt we'll see them back onto pit road. Guys like Timu, Alex Warren, Ryan Lowe, and Tyler Laughlin, who did not pit yet, this is going to really stink for them because they have to pit guys. Everybody else that already pitted doesn't have to pit. So those top 4 are going to be relegated to the tail end of the lead lap. So almost like a road course deal right there. Now, this track is big enough to where if you get a big enough lead during the run and you pit early on enough, you can keep it on the lead lap. And top half of the top 20 did that time around.
Here comes Timu Ivonen, and, well, not a whole lot of people along with him.
Tim.
He's, there's not a whole lot of cars down there with Timu. Alex Warren, obviously, is down on pit road. Got a couple of guys, middle of the pack coming down. Ryan Lowe, T-Loff is down on pit road. Those guys that did not come down pit road on that green flag run are in. And everybody else staying out in the racetrack. Kenny Humpy is going to inherit the lead once again. And I believe behind him, he is going to be in pretty good company. He's got Justin Bolton. He's got Ray Alfala, Corey Vincent, and Brandon Schmidt, your top 5 by the looks of it. And behind that pace car, Joe, we're going to have a lot of wave-around cars.
Yes, we are, but I'm really focused on everyone behind the 58 of Kenny Hump because that's where these guys are going to be racing for the lead with about a little under 30 laps to go. These are going to be the guys who could potentially walk away with this race. Kenny Humpy will be in front of them. Justin Bolton, his teammate, will be up there as well. Ray Alfala, Corey Vincent, 2 cars that have been fighting all night for the lead. They're going to restart with him in the top 5, and then you've got your dark horses, and boy, do you have a lot of them in this race. Brandon Schmidt, Chris Overland, PJ Sturgis, Tyler Hudson, Casey Tucker, all fighting for position out here, and they're going to start either within the top 10 or just outside of earshot of the top 10, which is going to create some crazy opportunities and some crazy fantasy picks to win this race. Get your fantasy ballots out now, guys, because you're going to want them now before the madness happens.
Yeah, the restart here is going to be really crazy. We saw a really crazy one the last time around, and that wasn't even at halfway for the most part. So we're closing in on lap 100 here, getting down to about 30 to go. I don't know, guys. I mean, again, I really thought Humpy was going to have this in the bag, but now we have this caution. Corey Vincent is still up there with that really fast short run car. Ray's got a good short run car. And again, on these restarts with everybody going every which way, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's going to be crazy. You know what? I kind of missed racing tonight, but you know what? This is a lot more peaceful up here, guys. When you're 3, 4, 5 wide, going down to turn 1 at Michigan or Pocono, it's a crazy experience. And I don't know. I hope these guys are up to it because if they can make it through turn 1 and 2 and get down the backstretch and not wad it up, this is going to be a great show for everybody watching.
So Kenny Humpy scored as your leader. Perfect opportunity to get you involved in the conversation. If you're on Twitter, we want you to send out a couple of tweets, hashtag NPAS, that's hashtag NPAS. And Joe mentioned getting your votes in for the proverbial fantasy. We want to know who you think's going to win this race. A lot of folks tweeting Aftermath Motorsports. That's the Alex Warren, Tyler Hill, Adam Gilliland, T-Loft team. Obviously, they were involved in that yellow flag. Tyler Hill spinning out to bring out that one. Aftermath Motorsports has that on their Twitter account. Plan B Sales Racing updating on Brian Day. Got a couple more tweets through here. Dustin Mass is cheering for Kenny Humpy. There's a few in this field that I think could win this. But Joe, yes, it's Kenny Humpy's birthday. Kenny's dominated this series. He's got a 75-point lead. The check's all but signed. You can make whatever excuse you want to and give every cliche that you want to. But Corey Vincent, if this thing comes down to a short run, might not be at a disadvantage. Corey Vincent is going to be good here on the short run for about 15 laps or so. Question is, does he get a caution in that time that creates another short run and another short run? We've seen a couple of these races before where cautions breed cautions. And with 30 laps to go, this could very well be that window.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It could be, and it's absolutely right that anything can happen at this point. As the lights go off on the pace car, we are just a lap away from going back to green flag racing. Humpy, Justin Bolton, Ray Alfala, Corey Vincent, those are the 4 guys who stand to win the most if we have continuous short spurts, because they've got a bunch of stuff on their car. They've got brand new tires. They've got a full tank of fuel under these cars in front of them, and I've got a feeling that these guys can race as hard as they want at this juncture in the race. Now, if we have more yellow flags, if we see a rash of yellow fever at the end of the race here with 30 left to go, it's only going to benefit them, because when the yellow flag comes out, it's going to make them run that much harder.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a crazy restart. Anybody in this top 10 can win, as far as I'm concerned. If it gets crazy enough up here at the front, Casey Tucker, Tyler Hudson, Patrick Crabtree, Brad Mahar, even Kevin King back there in 12th position, they can still get it done. So I'm into the restart here, Tim. Let's see what they can do.
Pace car is in. Kenny Humpy is gone. That was quick. Green flag flies. The 36 of Bolton on the outside. Ray Alfala on the apron in the 2, trying to get some here. 36 will fall in the line in front of the 2. Don't count out Chris Overland back there as well. The 47 car on the move, and the 2 has the fender underneath the 36. We're going to go side by side for position number 2. The 10 and the 47 are going to dance for position number 4 down the back straightaway.
But the 58 of Kenny Humpy still leading this race, and leading it in convincing fashion. Justin Bolton, his teammate, trying to make it a 1-2 finish for the team. Ray Alfala trying to break it up, though. No good so far. Chris Overland, where did he come from? He's going to take away position number 4 from your pole sitter, Corey Vincent. And look who's behind him, Brandon Schmidt, trying to break into the top 5.
Yeah, Corey Vincent's in big trouble right now. He's stuck on that outside. There's no hole to be found. Maybe he can get behind Schmidt right here. Let's see if he can do it. It's going to be close. No, Sturgis covers the hole. So that 10 car's chances of winning are decreasing every time he gets past here. So tough break for him, but you know what? There's still plenty of time. Maybe he can catch a break and get this thing going in the right direction.
Yeah, the fat lady is long from warming up to seeing the end of this race. The 10 car of Corey Vincent, though, going the wrong way on this short run. He's going to fall into line here right in front of Tyler Hudson in the 01. That'll put him in position number 7, but there's another driver we haven't talked a whole lot about this evening, folks, just ahead of that 50, or ahead of that number 10. That's PJ Sturgis. And Joe, when we were talking about him earlier, he was all the way back in 25th, 26th. He's all the way back up now, knocking on the door of a top 5 run. Brandon Schmidt has that wiggle off corner number 2, and Sturgis going to try to go to the outside here.
Sturgis might be able to work on the outside, but the problem is nobody's been able to make the pass, especially in those very wide, very deep turns here at Michigan International Speedway. So he's going to still stay side by side, gets the wiggle, makes contact with the wall. PJ Sturgis in the INEX machine, heavy contact off the wall, and he's going to drop at least 3 positions, if not more. So much, you might have given him the TV jinx, Tim, because that hurt him big time, and that could be the end of his run.
Certainly did. He fell back in the line, though. Looks like the right side's okay. It definitely has some visual damage there, but straightaway speed looks fine. He's going to try to make the move back on his teammate right there, so doesn't look too bad for Sturgis.
He's going to have to reset and try to pick up a couple more positions here in this run. Lap number 99 going to come to a close here. Kenny Humpy is your leader with Justin Bolton in second, Ray Alfala in third, Overland, and it looks like Brandon Schmidt in 5th. Caution on the speedway.
Caution's out for once again, and it looks like it might be Steven Gilbert involved in that one. The 37 machine going back to life after sitting on the apron, and taking a look back at my replay, the 37 was definitely one of the cars involved, and it looks like he might have had help from the 51 machine. That's Tyler Laughlin.
Yeah, Tyler Laughlin, a little bit loose off 4. Gilbert, I think, maybe expected him to be higher than that, but still Gilbert came up, hit the door, and around he went. Yeah, it was a huge mess through 3 and 4, and then Laughlin's teammate Adam Gillen went for a ride through the grass right from the front stretch. Caught some air, some door damage from that, but good wreck avoidance nonetheless, guys. But a lot of spinning off of turn 4, and I think Tim, we talked about this at the beginning of the race. We thought that might be the trouble spot, and I think that's come to fruition tonight. Most of our wrecks have been off of turn 4.
Yeah, if you start that replay all the way down the back straightaway, Steven Gilbert is chasing down the 11 and the 51. And when the 11 of Brad Davies makes the move on the 51, the 37 drives it in. And I think the 51 came down the racetrack, maybe anticipating him not being there, and 37 gets a little excited, gets turned around, and as you mentioned, a couple of drivers have to take evasive action through the infield, including Adam Gilliland in the Gary Mercer Trucking number 8. He'll make his way back out to the speedway, and there's the other team that we mentioned, Drill Isle. Mike, we mentioned your team not running where they should be maybe at this point in the season. Yes, Aftermath does have a win with Alex Warren. Yes, they have a couple top 5 finishes with Tyler Hill. But, Joe, a lot of that has come through fuel mileage, pit strategy. At the end of the day, they don't ask you how you won the race. They just ask how many. But they have been struggling here tonight at Michigan. There's one team that has not hit the build, this brand new build, correctly, I guess, compared to that other one. It looked like they were just catching on when iRacing threw the new rules package at them.
Yeah, but you'll have that in real racing too, though, Tim. How many times do you have you seen adjustments being made mid-season in order to make sure things stay competitive and things stay as best they can on the track and between competitors? iRacing is no different throughout the year. They are continually tweaking and adjusting this simulation so that it is the most realistic thing you will be able to get into. It's the most realistic opportunity you have to race without going out and buying a multi-million dollar race car and funding a multi-million-dollar race team. So iRacing, once again, doing a very good job of keeping up to date with the technology.
Yeah, they certainly are, and the drivers, I think, have done a great job trying to market themselves and bring exposure to the series as well. Go back 4 or 5 years ago, the series first started, there were no custom paint schemes, there were no paying sponsors. None of that was really thought of at the time, I don't think. Now you have Peak, you have Alliance, you have Double Clutch, unique designs, you have all these sponsors up here, Inex, all these guys. Most of the field have paying sponsors. It's a great thing to see. We need more of that. We need more exposure. The drivers are doing everything they can to market the series, but you know what? Between these broadcasts and everything else, everybody's doing a great job to get the series out there, and they're just making it that much closer to real life. The more we, get people knowing about what we're doing here with the NASCAR series.
Mike mentioned a bunch of sponsors. We're going to mention a few more here. We're going to step away for just a few moments' time and bring you back to some more racing. We've got less than 25 laps to go at Michigan. Kenny Humpy is your leader. Might change in the next 22 or so. Don't go away. You'll find out after this.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. You got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this.
I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Getting ready to go back, green flag racing at Michigan had a couple drivers that came down pit road, including Ray Alfala. He'll restart 23rd. It's Kenny Humpy, Justin Bolton, your front row. Overland, Schmidt, Vincent. Top 5. Here comes the green flag. 1:04 completed here, and we are back underway. These drivers side by side for second on back. Humpy is gone. Watch that 3-car, Brandon Schmidt, trying to get down on the inside in front of the 10. He's going to do so, but look at Overland going for the lead.
Overland going for the throat and going quickly is now the 36 of Justin Bolton comes to the aid of his teammate. Is he going to be able to get around the 47? No, he's going to fight the 3 as a 47, a 36, a 3. All 3 wide going into turns 3 and 4. Can they hold it?
I don't know. I didn't think they were going to make that. Oh, I still don't think they're going to make that. Oh, no. Oh,
they're not going to make it.
No, they didn't make it.
Yellow flag out once again, and now big trouble happening all throughout the track as everyone forced to scatter. The 99, the 47 involved. Looks like the 99 of Teemu Vonen got stuck in that one. The 36 of the 36 machine got a piece of that one as well. The 4 of Brian Day. Chaos on the track.
Oh man, they almost made that too. They were like so close to getting off of turn 4. They just all got together there, and then a couple guys wanted to hurry to get into that wreck there after the fact. So, man, good hard racing, but heck, I don't know, man. That really that stinks for Chris. He was having a great run. That stinks for Bolton. I just don't think they gave each other enough room. But I mean, how much room can you give? There's 20 laps to go, and you're 3 wide going for second. So, just a tough situation to be in. But that's going to end the night of all of them. As we're all pretty well beat up there.
And lots more. Yeah, sorry, Tim. Lots more incidents happening after the fact. Taking a look at just what happened in the aftermath. The 34 Matt Busso was forced down into the infield. Rob Ackley went for a ride in the infield. Went off a couple bumps there, and just aftermath everywhere in this incident. And I hate to be the officials in this situation because they're going to have to watch this incident multiple times to see exactly what took place. A lot of penalties being handed down from this incident.
I think the main incident, though, the 36 gets a little bit loose, but the 3-car leaves 2 lanes underneath. Yep. I don't know how the officials can rule it any other than the 3. But that's just where I'm sitting right now, Mike. I know you're seeing the same thing pretty much here. The 3-car leaves a couple lanes underneath. Corey Vincent in that 10-car is going to use 2 of those lanes to avoid the incident. Tyler Hudson is going to do the same, I believe, in the 1-car. There's going to be a few cars get through here, but Brian Day is not going to get through here. That's a really tough break for the Plan B sales number 4 because he was quick. The 47, as we mentioned, the 36 comes down the racetrack, nowhere to go. Rob Ackley collects him. Teemu Vonen gets involved in this one with the 4-car as they tried to get through. Byron Daly could not find his brake pedal. He gets into the 99. The 16 tries to jam it up, and I think Tom may have got a little bit of damage from that. It could have been a lot worse with Byron coming to that sudden stop with the 99. Taylor Hurst gets a little bit of this. And then there's some guys at the back of the pack that went through the grass to avoid, and I believe they're going to get a little bit of damage as well. Alex Scribner in the 50 car is also going to get a lot of damage, and Scribner was scored in 39th when he came back across the line, so maybe he hit somebody back there. Yeah, he got into it with Steven Gilbert, and the 09 at David Rattler was into the wall back there. That was a totally separate incident, but Rattler, the 50, the 37, somehow this happened in the top 3 or 4, Joe, and 38th is going to get collected in it too.
Absolutely is. It's a chain. It's a domino effect, as we said earlier about pit stops. Well, it happens here too, as well as even cars that have nothing to do with it, that were just checking up, got a piece of it as well. Like the 2 of Ray Alfala. He was running strong. He was challenging for the win earlier this evening. That's probably not going to happen now, as after that incident, he made contact with the 51, who was pushed into him by the 93 of Byron Daly. Therefore, the 2 with no rear end on him, he's going to now have to try to figure out what he can do to salvage his night, if at all. But the biggest winner in all of this, chaos is now either Kenny Humpy or Corey Vincent. When we go back to green flag racing, we will have approximately 15 laps to go, plus or minus. Kenny Humpy will start on the inside. Corey Vincent will start on the outside. Both those cars have been dominant all night, and I've got a feeling if this is any indication, if the prior run has been any indication of what's going to happen, either the 58 or the 10 will be the winner as a result of this incident.
I mean, that's a safe bet. I wouldn't really think that anybody else has shown as much speed as them tonight. But man, we just took out like 20 cars very quickly. So if the 10 and the 58 get to racing and Tyler Hudson wants to throw it in there, I mean, we can take out another 10 or 20 really quick. I've seen it happen before, and I've been a part of it. It just gets so crazy at the end of these races, you know? I mean, there's just, everybody's trying to get up there. Everybody can smell the wind. They see Humpy up there, okay? And I'll tell you how it is. They see Humpy, and they're like, man, this guy's been winning every week. We want to get up there. We want to win. We want to put our sponsors in victory lane. We want to get up against our TV. You know, talk to us. You know, it's a big deal for these guys, especially these guys that are, you know, mid-pack a lot. Aftermath Motorsports, Drill Isle. The cars have been struggling this year, and maybe you're up front now. Casey Tucker's having a season best run tonight. They want to win, and they can see that win. They're not going to let anybody take that away from them. So it's all take, no give at this point as we come down to 15 to go. This is going to be a heck of a finish if we can just keep our heads on our shoulders for a few laps after this restart.
There's been 3 drivers that have really been the class of the field this evening. One of them was involved in that latest incident after coming down pit road in the last caution, Ray Alfala. But you have to believe the 58 and 10, at least for the first 109 laps, along with the 2 car, have really been the 3 drivers that have been dominant. Humpy and Vincent are going to share that front row. Tyler Hudson, Thomas Davis, Kevin King gets through. That comes from about 10th on that last restart to restart in position number 5, with PJ Sturgis, Casey Tucker, Chad Lawton, Patrick Crabtree barely getting through that, and Brad Mahar spinning through that one in the Infinite Creative Solutions number 13, going to restart in position number 10. So there's some players up here now that could make things very interesting in these final laps. We're going to come by this time and have 16 laps to go in this one, 109 completed. About to be 110 here for Kenny Humpy in the peak number 58. Corey Vincent on the outside, trying to take away his first career NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing victory. Gonna have to do it from the outside in P2. Kenny Humpy is gone, green flag, back out in the air. 10-0-1, that's going to be the battle for position number 2. Hudson to the inside of the 10, pokes that nose down there.
Kenny Humpy is gone, and now the question is, can anybody dethrone the king, Tyler Hudson? Another peak driver wants to try to get to the peak of the mountain. Corey Vincent settles for position number 3. No, he's going to cross over, trying to break out underneath the 0-1 of Tyler Hudson. Will it work? That is the question as Corey Vincent, Thomas Davies, and Kevin King watch on.
They're 3 wide back there. Lawton threw it in under Casey Tucker, and they're 3 wide back behind them still.
They're continuing to go at it. Caution flag back out on the speedway, and we'll re-rack the rest of the field again. The 51 is slow in the corner, and Adam Gilliland is in the infield, so without a front end of that race car. So I would have to believe that Gary Mercer Trucking number 8 was a part of this one, and 38-11, I believe, is the start of this, Joe, and then behind them they stack up, and Adam Gilliland had absolutely nowhere to go.
Let's start with a 38 and the 11 here, and then there's a second incident that it looks like took place on the track. Starting with a 38 and the 11, the 38 just puts the wedge in underneath the 11. The 11 gets sideways, tries to save it, and then catches up the 77. The 11 catches up with the 77. The 77 belonging, of course, to Andy Fayash. Andy Fayash then backs into the 8 machine. The 8 machine, of course, to Adam Gillen, and that backs into the 9. The 9 and 16 that in turn make contact with the 2 of Ray Alfala. The 9 and 2 make contact. The 2 goes spinning, makes contact with the 24. And everything is gone crazy. Needless to say, the Vision of Flight has been grounded for the night, as well as a handful of other drivers. The Kings are dead. Long live the King. In front of this field, that's the 58 of Kenny Humpy.
Yeah, the flight might be grounded, but I think old Wendell Scott on the door there is pretty scared too after that crash. My goodness, massive crash for Ray. It's a great looking car, a good initiative that they're taking with that deal. But I mean, Joe, that was a great explanation, but I can sum it up in one word: mess. I mean, just an absolute mess, a train wreck. if you want to call it, for these guys in the back. Ray already had damage. Overland, Tyler Hill already suffered damage from previous incidents, and well, that was the knockout punch for most of them back there. And like we said before the restart, if they could just keep it together for a couple laps, get this thing strung out, we could see a good race to the finish. But everybody's just going at it tonight, and this is one of the more aggressive Michigan races I've seen in quite some time.
I like your description, Mike. I really do.
Well, I mean, it's simple and to the point. We could go through this all day and talk about who's swerving at who and who's blocking and who's wrecking each other. But I mean, it's just an absolute mess. The last couple of restarts here, and I understand. I've made a mess of things before in the series too, and so is my teammate Brian Schoenberg. We're pretty good for that sort of thing. But I mean, these guys they're doing a good job. I mean, they did a great job in the first half. Don't get me wrong. That was a great first half to this race. Lean and green for the most part. Green flag pit stops. Cautions every now and then, but normal. These guys just have to back it down a little bit, regroup, and try to get through these final 10 laps without going bananas, because riding behind the Mustang pace car is not going to improve their position at all. And if you're Corey Vincent or Tyler Hudson or now Kevin King, who's back in the top 5, you need this thing to be green and not under caution to try to get humped.
So coming into this evening, Kenny Humpy had a 75-point lead on Ray Alfala and had a 105-point lead on Chris Overland. Chris Overland right now is running all of 27th on pit road right now, or just came off pit road. Ray Alfala's car is sitting on the virtual flat deck. That will not finish the race, so that's going to hurt Ray, and it's going to hurt Overland, albeit we do have one drop race that these drivers can factor into their total. But with Humpy leading this race, yes, Patrick Crabtree is running in the top 10. Yes, Chad Lawton is running in the top 10. But they are 100-plus points behind. Yes, with 7 races to go, there's still a little bit of time. But, Joe, it just... The stars are in line right now, it seems like, for Kenny Humpy with these 7 races to go. We did see Tyler Hudson a couple of seasons ago come back from a full race back. But at the end of this race, Kenny Humpy is likely going to be a full 2 races ahead if he can stay out front and win this race. That's the if right now.
When we go back to green flag racing, we'll have plus or minus 11 laps left to go. Kenny Humpy has been strong on every restart. So is Corey Vincent. Tyler Hudson's there as well. And then there's the teammate Kevin King, who's in 5th. And don't you think for a second that Kevin King is going to be docile on this restart. So let's call it as we see it, guys. I'm going to start with you, Mike. I want to know, who do you have to pick this race? And I already know who my pick is, but I'm really curious, as we have the lights are off, 1 lap to go, who you think is going to walk away with this one?
Well, I mean, if I picked anybody but Kenny Humpy, I think I'd be making a terrible decision. He's had the fastest car in the long run. He's had the second fastest car, sub 15 lap runs. We got 10 laps to go here, so yeah, Corey Vincent's wheelhouse as far as his car has gone tonight. We've got a couple heat cycles in these tires. Should put it more to the 58. And you know what? Humpy's going to close this thing out tonight and leave here with a two race lead in the points, and everybody's going to be trying to figure out how to catch him going into Kentucky.
I like your thinking, Mike. I like Kenny Humpy, but Corey Vincent, I'll ask you as a driver, if you're going for your first win in this series and you're Corey Vincent, and you can even get to Kenny Humpy in those final couple laps, do you try to move the 58?
Well, I mean, you know what? I mean, we could look at it 2 ways. 1, he's the points leader. I don't want to wreck him. Or 2, he's the points leader with a 2-race lead in the points. Now he can afford a few points gone. So I don't think Corey's like that. But you know what? When people want to win, you don't know what they're going to do. So we'll see how bad Corey wants it here. Hopefully we can do this clean. Hopefully it can be a great Michigan finish here. But we'll see what happens. A lot of hungry guys behind Humpy. Pace car pulls off.
Are we done with the cautions? We'll find out fairly soon. A green flag in the air for the 58 of Kenny Humpy, and he is gone. The 10 of Vincent should be able to slot in the line here to position number 2. The 01 of Tyler Hudson going to look underneath the 10, going down into corner number 1. And don't look now. Here comes the 29 of Kevin King, along with his teammate on the outside, Thomas Davis, in the 83. Your top 5 are going to make it through corner number 2 and down the back straightaway clean. Now the rest of the field going to try to do the same.
Humpy will stay on point. Vincent second, and now the battle's for position number 3 and counting. Tyler Hudson in the mix. Kevin King, Thomas Davis, Chad Lawton, PJ Sturgis, all side by side battling for positions 3 and on, which benefits the 2 men up front. They cross the start-finish line, 10 to go.
Corey is not letting him get away. He's sucking up right to the bumper of that 58 car. He's going to give him a run for his money. I mean, I don't doubt that. He can get there. Can he get around him? That's the question. They're already pulling away from Hudson. I don't think Hudson has anything for them. Everybody's racing like crazy back there, 10th on back. So I think the winner is going to come from this top 2 if we don't get another caution. But I mean, they're 3 wide right now for 15th, so nothing's out of the question.
They're trying to get a caution flag back there. Question is it going to trigger a caution flag at some point in this run? 116 completed here, and the top 2 breaking away a little bit from Tyler Hudson, Kevin King, and Chad Lawton, who looks over his teammate at position number 4. And Casey Tucker throwing a little bit of a block on Thomas Davis. He just got that position from the 83 to move him into position number 6. Brad Mahar on the outside line trying to pick up one from Brian Blackford around 10th place, but Corey Vincent trying to reel in Kenny Humpy and possibly take away his first career NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series victory, coming down to the final laps. It's go time if you're the 10.
It's go time if you're the 10. It's go time if you're everybody else. And if it's Kenny Humpy, it's no time to put it in cruise control anytime soon. You've got to keep the hammer down. You've got to keep driving and digging on this track. And Kenny Humpy's got to do everything he can to make sure he maintains this lead. Because, guys, very frankly, this could be the race that seals the championship. Even though we have a 4-race chase per se, this could be the race that seals the championship.
Yeah, you need about a 15-race chase to get to Humpy at this point. And again, you know, we're not writing anybody off. We're not trying to make this sound like it's over with. But NASCAR racing, you never know what's going to happen. You know, Kenny could have internet troubles. They could fall off the wagon like we talked about earlier. You don't know what's going to happen. But the way that team has run the whole year, the tenacity that Kenny's shown, coming back this year stronger than I've seen him in quite some time, they're going to really have to figure out a way to get this away from him if he doesn't make a mistake. Now, watching the race right now, let's just talk about right now as we have about 7 laps to go. It looks like Vincent can get to him a little bit in 1 and 2. He's better than Humpy at that end of the speedway. Get down toward 3 and 4. 4, he's pretty good in and through the center, but he gets to the exit, he gets really tight. Again, that trouble spot off of 4. Some guys have been loose, some guys have been tight. Looks like right now Vincent, with the 2 or 3 heat cycles on the tires, that thing is getting tight. You know what? Humpy doesn't look all that great off there as well. So, you know, who knows what's going to happen to him? It looks like Humpy's slowly but steadily pulling away.
Almost a 10th that lap between those two. Humpy gained on Corey Vincent. Tyler Hudson might be starting to reel that 10 car in ever so slightly, and it looks like he may have just a wee bit that last time by. King holding on to position number 4 with Chad Lawton just behind him, and Casey Tucker trying to hold off Thomas Davis behind them for a spot. Meanwhile, Blackford is side by side with Cody Bias. Bias is going to fall back behind the 33 car, and they will chase PJ Sturgis in position number 8 as they come by this time. 5 laps to go in the 27 underneath the number 33. He is there. That is a side-by-side battle for position number 9.
Kenny Humpy still in the lead with 5 to go. Vincent, Tyler Hudson, 2nd and 3rd, and Hudson's trying to catch up to the back bumper of the 10 of Corey Vincent. Now Kevin King in 4th, Chad Lawton right behind him in 5th, Casey Tucker, Thomas Davies. Really, everyone in line as the 23 tries to cut off the nose of the 27 machine. The 33 of Brian Blackford doing everything he can to keep the 27 of Cody Bias behind him. And guys, he's been hurt by that before. Could he be hurt by it again tonight?
Yeah, I was behind those maneuvers at Auto Club, and we all know how that. It worked out pretty good for both of us, I'd say, because we made it back to start finish. But somebody a little bit less patient, it could be Cody Bias, isn't going to have any of that. And again, remember, Nick Ottinger was penalized last week for excessive blocking. If Blackford has one more move like that, again, in reaction to the trailing car like that late into the corner, he might face a penalty. But again, we're not officials, we're just broadcasters, so let's see what happens here.
The 0-1 car of Tyler Hudson makes the move on Corey Vincent, and the glass slipper for Vincent may have just broke, at least for the battle for the lead. Question is, does Tyler Hudson have enough left in these last couple laps? Is Vincent going to go backwards one more time? Kevin King to the inside. Vincent may have used up his stuff here. Kevin
Crossover.
King going to move to position number 3. Crossover move. Fayash going to get at a dodge. And here comes the 10 back to the inside of the 29.
But guys, the biggest thing to remember here is Kenny Humpy is on his own island right now. 0.7 of a second over Tyler Hudson. Corey got nearly a second over Corey Vincent, the 26 of Chad Lawton, Kevin King and company. So now the battle is going to be for the scraps, unless something catastrophic happens that Kenny Humpy, our experts project him to be the winner here at Michigan. All he's got to do is cruise around for 2-4 more miles.
I mean, he's got it under control right now. This is his race to lose. I'll tell you who's winning. Kenny Hump isn't winning. None of these guys are winning. Peak is winning. 1-2 right now for the Peak cars. So really good to see those two cars running in front. Hopefully we can add a third Peak car, top 3 of Kentucky. But either way, great run by Humpy tonight. He's done everything right. He's going to come to the white flag here with about a second lead over Tyler Hudson. If he can just pull this thing around one more time, he's going to have it.
Casey Tucker to the top 5 as well. He just made the move on Kevin King to put himself in P5. Final lap of racing. Chad Lawton now underneath Corey Vincent for position number 3 as they'll go side by side into corner number 1. And don't look now, Casey Tucker going to try to get his best NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series finish as he moves underneath the 10. We're going to have a side by side battle down the back straightaway for 4th. Meanwhile, up in front, Kenny Humpy in the Peak Antifreeze number 58. Leads this thing through 3 and 4, and your point leader going to extend that point lead in a huge way. Checkered flag at Michigan, and round number 9 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series goes to Kenny Humpy. Tyler Hudson makes it a Peak 1-2. Chad Lawton in 3rd, Casey Tucker in 4th, and Corey Vincent going to hold on over Kevin King for position at number 5. Kenny Humpy once again on top of the mountain in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. This is win number 5 in the 9 race series so far.
Long live the king. I'll say it again. Long live the king. As you see the 29, the 26 flanking the 58 of Kenny Humpy. In fact, we'll say the 26 is defending the 58 from the 29. Kevin King is congratulating the king. Now Kevin Humpy on his win. And guys, I think that's it. I think that anyone who wants to try to win this series just had a major blow dealt to them.
Yeah, you could definitely say that. I mean, I think we've seen the whole year that Humpy been the fastest car. He's been the most consistent car. He's really mimicked the 4 car in real life. The 78. That 58 has been like one of the Stuart Haas cars, the Furniture Road racing team. Very consistent week in, week out. Great speed, great strategy, and they've got everything going their way. And the way everything's went for him this year, I mean, he hasn't really had a lot of bad luck. That could still set in as we go through the final 7 or 8 races of the season. But I mean, he's got such a huge lead, guys. I mean, it's going to be really difficult for anybody to do anything with that.
He's celebrating in Gatorade Victory Lane. He pulls in to Gatorade Victory Lane at Michigan, and we will step away for a few moments' time, and we will set up for the post-race show. We'll talk to your top 5 finishers from the Michigan International Speedway in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series coming up after this.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. You got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about.
Ah!
You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this.
I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Peak can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy. Welcome back to the Michigan International Speedway and round number 9 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. We're over halfway through this season and Kenny Humpy has won over half the races in this series. Joe Cortez is down in victory lane with your winner this evening, his 5th of the season for the Peak Antifreeze Chevrolet, number 58 of Kenny Humpy.
Guys, when you peak, you win, and Kenny Humpy, no exception to that rule tonight. Kenny, win number 5. Is it too soon to start talking championship?
We're getting ever closer, but I still say it's too early. I mean, you never know in these races. I could go the next, finish out the season wrecking and probably, still be able to lose it. So I mean, I don't think you can say I'm the champion yet. But I'm just thankful for Peak and best overhead doors and vinyl siding and everybody for being on the car, man. It's I don't know how we keep winning, but somehow we just keep ending up winning here. And I got to thank the team, number one, for putting together that setup. I was a little skeptical about it getting in, just because of the new build and everything. It was a little different, but I think we did a good job with it, and I think we have a little area we could probably make it just a little bit better. But as far as speed, man, we were out there and we were going pretty fast.
The speed was definitely on your side. It looked like it was a race of two halves for you, though. The first half, the first 2/3 of this race, you were happy to trail behind Corey Vincent and company. The second, the last third of the race, you really turned it up and made it work for you and made it win. What was the difference? What was the difference between the first 2/3 of the race and the final run in the race?
Yeah, I mean, we were just with this new build, you can save your tires quite a bit, and just by backing your pace up and backing up the corners, and that's what we were really doing that first, half of the race, and until that last caution came out with about 35 to go. That kind of, we said that we're done trying to save because you're towards the end of the race, and that was just a difference there. So the first half we didn't really get to show any speed because we were just trying to save tires, and it kind of bit us a little bit because every time we'd start to make progress on the guys up front, they would we would get a caution, and it would kind of help benefit them without us saving and being able to kind of gap them like we were trying to do. But that last run there, we were able to show our speed that we actually had, and I think everybody at the team did a heck of a job putting it together, and it showed right there in that last 10-lap run what we actually had.
Let's talk about this new build real quick. Your initial thoughts after winning the first race, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race on the new build.
Yeah, I think it made the field a lot closer as far as times go. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. You can kind of save your tires and do some different things with sort of strategy to kind of help yourself in a run, and I think it's a good step. We'll have to see at a different track. I think we go to Kentucky next, so we'll be able to see what it's like there and move on. And thanks to all the guys at iRacing for putting it together, and you guys for broadcasting, and thanks to everybody else that's involved with this, because it's a pretty cool deal. And hopefully we can continue the luck we've had and finish out this year.
Real quick, we basically get a full month off, about 2 weeks or so. How do you keep the momentum going over the break?
Just kind of relax. That's what I'm going to do, is just kind of relax and, get away from it just a little bit. Maybe, do some other type of racing and stuff. So, not going to really be worried about Kentucky until a week out or so, and we'll start testing for it. But really, it's just about, getting away from it. Summer break, so, it's good for the series and good to have a break.
Kenny Humpy wins number 5 here at Michigan International Speedway and retains the points lead. Let's go over to Tim Derry, who's caught up with another former champion, Tyler Hudson, finishing second.
Finishing in position number 2, first top 5 of the season for the 0-1 car. And Tyler, that was pretty wild. You had to come from 21st, and you get to position number 2 and had to dodge some of those late race wrecks. Talk about your run here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this feels really good to be back in the top five. Doing an interview here, I kind of a little nervous. I hadn't done it in a while, but yeah, I mean, the race was pretty eventful from our standpoint. The car was really loose. And I was struggling a little bit, but I think at the end, getting those cold tires with burning fuel off with all those cautions really set the car off. But I mean, we've been working our butts off every single week, putting in more effort than we've ever done, and to have it pay off finally is really good. Which we've ran pretty good the last couple weeks, but didn't really get the finishes I felt we kind of were capable of. So to maybe get a little bit better than what we maybe ran, feels really good, like we deserve it.
And it definitely shows here with the second place run. You guys had that new rules package. I know you guys have worked hard on this package. Do you like this package that iRacing put out last week? What would you like to see changed, if anything? Are you happy with the way everything went tonight?
Well, I mean, it's hard not to be with second place finish, but as far as the build goes, I mean, it was a little for us anyway. It was a little different. I hate that the field doesn't spread out any more than it does, which I think everybody's in the same boat there. But the cars for us felt a lot different, a lot less. To me, it felt like we had a lot less grip. Um, and I'm not sure exactly what they did to the cars to do that, but I struggled all week testing. I probably did 600 laps, and I never could get 3 and 4 down like I wanted or like I felt like I needed to, and just real uncomfortable feeling. I hope that's not how it's going to go in the future. Maybe we try a little something different with the setup, get a little better feel there. But I mean, all the guys have done a great job. I'm just the lucky guy, I guess, to drive it. We test together. They build these cars. We have a lot of fun together, and I'm just really happy to be there and get this for them. They deserve it more than anything. Adam put just as many laps in this week as I have, and he's got nothing in it except just for the fun of it and helping a buddy out. And I learned a lot from him this week. And so, yeah, I'm really happy about that.
Before we let you go here this evening, you came in 14th in the point standings. This is going to help you a little bit. Some of those guys in front of you had a little bit of tough luck. Is this where this team turns the corner? And what is the goal now in this second half of the season? Where does this 0-1 team finish? And do we get into victory lane? Do we get a couple of checker flags before this thing is out?
Man, I sure hope so. It's so hard to win these races, especially when Kenny's winning all of them. Nobody's really been able to beat him just on pure speed, I don't think. So, second place is like a win, but I don't know. Anything could happen. I sure hope so. We want to get in the top 10 in points. We had a really bad start to the season. We struggled a lot, did a lot of rebuilding, regrouping. To get top 10 in points would be a really successful year, and really all this is building up for next year. We want to go hard next year and really fight for that championship again. But I think Richmond was the turning point. We were so bad there. So these last 3 races have catapulted us back up to, I think, 11th or tied for 10th in points. So if we can get anywhere in the top 10, top 5, which I think is very realistic with the way we're running, it would be a huge successful season for us.
And that's Tyler Hudson coming home with position number 2 here this evening. And Mike, without that drop, he is tied for 10th place in the point standings. And I believe you've caught up with a driver that, let me do some quick math here, is 112 points out of the point lead in 3rd place. Without the drop factored in, it's Chad Lawton.
All right, Chad. So first question, 112 points back. Can you make up those points on Humpy?
Honestly, probably.
Well, I think Chad. You there, Chad?
I'm
There
alive.
you
My
go.
bad. The button only works half the time. Yeah, unlikely, very unlikely we're going to get to Kenny. Kenny would have to have some catastrophic failure where someone's going to have to go over his house and destroy.
Come on, Chad, hit that button again.
Oh, man.
There
I'm
you
still
go.
happy with 3rd. It's a good overall day, a lot of ups and downs this season, so it was a good run.
All right, well, let's talk about the down during the day. Last green flag pit stop. I think you waited a little bit longer to come in. You got caught out by that caution. Restarting the race back mid-pack. How'd you get back into 3rd?
I kind of weaved around, missed a few big wrecks. I think some of the top 5 got involved, and I was able to get by them. Just it seems I have some down races because when Chad Lawton does pit, the caution will come out. So it's been unfortunate the last 3 or 4 weeks, but luckily I was able to have a good car under me, the help of Bolton and Cody Bias and Kenny Humpy for their help this week to help me get up to 3rd.
So you said you had to weave and maybe a couple swerves in there too. Those late race restarts, crashes, the walk, I mean, people watching at home, maybe they haven't been able to experience the iRacing service yet, or a lot of people can't experience the NASCAR Antifreeze series. So walk people through, how is it to go 4 or 5 wide down to turn 1 in Michigan with everybody going every which way around you?
It's pretty intense. The key thing is when you're entering the corner to hold that line and do not move from that. It's difficult at sometimes because everyone's fighting an ill-handling car the whole night, and you're just trying to hold on for dear life and hoping the car sticks off the corner.
All right, I want to talk to you quickly about the performance of your team, the whole season. You guys have been strong. Arguably, you've been second to Humpy on an average as far as speed goes. What can you do personally to try to pick up that performance just that little bit to get closer to Humpy and try to get up there and compete with him on a more regular basis for wins?
As it is, Kenny, obviously, we've seen is pretty dominant. Luckily, I was able to get him at Texas, that was once in a blue moon. But what I could do is, I've probably since Texas, I've done a lot less practicing, and that's why I probably haven't been, as consistent or up there as much. So what I would have to, do is probably a lot more laps just to get my consistency back and somewhat try to stay up with him. But he's almost impossible to keep up with. He's got the hot lap speed, and he knows how to save his tires, and he's good on the long run. For me, I'm just kind of there on the short run, and I'm there on the long run. So it's a tough road. It's a tough road for everybody. In my personal mind, there's only a few people that I think are just as good as Kenny is yourself. So it's going to be tough to beat him.
Yeah, I hear you. He's been absolutely unbeatable this year. All right, before I let you go, tell us who makes it happen for you. Who pays for that 26 car?
Definitely want to thank my family, who lately they've been watching my iRacing career. I want to thank the team, all the people that put in time and effort, Bolton, Cody, and Kenny, the guys who do a good majority of the work, Ryan Manning, for spotting for me. And I want to give a big shout out and congratulations to Kenny Humpy, and happy birthday, bud.
All right, good work, Chad. Well, hopefully I'll see you on the track in Kentucky. I'm going to throw it down to Tim Terry, who's caught up with 4th place finisher Casey Tucker.
And one of the hard chargers, especially at the end of the race, Casey Tucker comes home with position number 4. You had a lot of work to do in the closing laps. Let's talk about those final couple of passes that put you in 4th.
Yeah, the car was pretty solid, so it wasn't hard at the end. As long as somebody, got a guy up in the high lane, it wasn't terribly hard to pass him. But it was definitely a lot more than I thought I would have at the end. The car all race wasn't, the strongest, obviously, but it was still okay. It was solid. It was at least a top 15 car, but I never imagined I would bring it home top 5. The season's been pretty rough, so top 5 is pretty awesome. It's almost as good as a win, even though I thought I had gotten that last week, but this week is even better.
And you're quietly going along and taking care of your work in this series pretty much. You're moving to 17th place in the point standings, the one top 5 here. Is this a sign of what is going to happen in the second half of the season for this 28 team?
I sure hope so. We've had good cars all season. Obviously not as fast as the team, but we've had, solid cars. I just haven't been able to really bring them home where they deserved every time. I've made mistakes and just driven over my head a little bit at the beginning of the season trying to, I guess prove something. But I tried to calm down there, the last, maybe 3 or 4 races. And slowly it's been getting better. We've had good runs here, obviously, and then at Dover we had a good run. But it's, I hope it trends this way for the rest of the season. But it's not for sure. Obviously, I've still got to go out there and do the right things. But we're trying to get better at it. It's just learning racing around, who you can race around and whatnot in the series.
You tuck yourself inside the top 20 now. Is top 10 the goal? What are you looking at here in these final 7 races?
Well, I'd really like to at least stay top 20. I do not really want to run the Pro Series again, if I can help it. I would like to see top 15. If I could get inside the top 15, or top 10 rather, that would be incredible. But I don't know if that'll happen. We'll see. If I can keep bringing home top 10s, top 5s, that would most likely happen. But it's not going to be easy by any means.
Before we let you go, you're one of the handful of drivers that also does some real-world racing. Let's talk about your real season.
Yeah, I've run some races up at Anderson this year. We ran a few. I haven't run as much lately in my modified, but I've been trying to take maybe a little bit of a break in real life, because I've been doing it since I was 9, just about every summer, every weekend. And people don't know after you've done it for so long, it does kind of wear on you a little bit. But especially having to drive like 3.5 hours to race every weekend, that's not easy. But I'll probably go back and run some more races this year. I've been trying to maybe focus a little more on iRacing, obviously, but it's taken a little time off. But I've definitely been running a little bit. We won the first race and then had a little problem in tech, and then we ran a few more races, had some decent runs. But we've been thinking about going down a little dirt track down here near my house, running at Sonoya in a legend car. But we'll see how that turns out.
And there's Casey Tucker tearing it up on the asphalt in the real life and the virtual asphalt as well, finishing in 4th here this evening at the Michigan International Speedway. Joe Cortez has caught up with our 5th place finisher. And Joe, you can pretty much call it a heartbreak, because Corey Vincent had led a lot of laps here tonight.
Corey Vincent started on the pole. Corey Vincent led a lot of laps tonight, and he's going to end up finishing 5th here at Michigan International Speedway. Corey, how much does it hurt, buddy?
I mean, it hurts, but I'm happy just to have a good run. We've been struggling all season really, and to come here and to lead some laps and run up front, it's definitely happy with that. But I guess I'm a little disappointed that we didn't have anything at the end there for Kenny, but it happens.
Incredible run all the way around for you and your entire team here at Michigan tonight. Talk to us about that very end. You were dominant for the first 2/3 of the race. Then towards the end, it just seemed like the car and the team fell off. What happened, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we lost the handle on it. The car, we struggled on the long run compared to Kenny and those guys. And there at the end, with those cautions and the heat cycles, the car just got really tight. And there at the end on that last restart, it was like 10 to go, and I thought I was gonna be able to have something for Kenny, but once I started getting closer and closer to him, the car just didn't want to turn, and eventually we started falling back. But I mean, congrats to him. He was fast all race, and we'll take a top 5.
Top 5's definitely not a bad way to go. Talk to us about this new build. What did you learn from tonight's racing?
I learned that the racing, well, it kind of fell in our favor, because the last build we struggled pretty good. We were off the pace about every week, but they put that new build out, and they kind of right away we hit on it. We had speed handling, and the race, to have it show in the race is just huge for us, because I mean we needed a good run. We've been struggling pretty good the whole season. If this is a sign to show in the future that we can run good in the future races, then I'll be happy with that.
Corey Vincent finishing 5th tonight after starting on the pole. Corey, have a great mini vacation, if you will. We'll see you back here in a couple weeks.
All right, thank you.
Tim, what an incredible race we saw here on this new build. A lot of great drivers, a lot of great talent out here. But once again, Kenny Humpy rises to the top here at Michigan International Speedway. And if tonight's racing is any indication of what we're going to see here in about 4 weeks' time or so, this bottom half of the season is going to be the best yet to come. I can't wait, and I know, Tim, you can't wait to see what these drivers end up doing when push comes to shove at the end of the season.
And I'm going to ask Mike Conti to offer up his final thoughts as well. And Mike, I know you wanted to be in the race car, but something a little bit different here this evening. You've been up here in the booth with us before. Great to have you up here, but I know you're chomping at the bit to get ready for Kentucky.
Well, thank you. It's been it was a fun experience, something different. I mean, as you saw, our team didn't run worth a darn anyway, so I didn't really miss much. But good being up here, get to have a different perspective. It's nice to see how these races unfold outside of the race car. But I suppose we'll go to work for Kentucky. Like Humpy said, maybe a week before, try to get something patched together. Hopefully we can hit on something. We're gonna figure it out eventually. We're working on a few different things, R&D wise, to try to get a different package under the car completely. Change everything, and eventually we'll hit on something. But racing at Kentucky is usually exciting. Restarts are crazy, just like Michigan, 3, 4, 5 wide down to 1 and 2. So it's gonna be fun being out there with the guys. Hopefully I'm in the race and get Peak a good finish and keep this Peak train rolling. I tell you, Peak and Brian Emmerich picked some good cars this year to sponsor. Finish 1, 2 tonight, and hopefully we can get the Peak Blue Def number 5 up there next week in Kentucky.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks to Peak and all their people that put this together, Brian Emmerich and his whole entire staff putting together this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series, and also Kenny Humpy, Tyler Hudson, and our co-host tonight, Michael Conti, for their efforts in this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series season. That's going to do it for us tonight. Now, next week is usually iRacing night, but we're going to take a week off. I don't know what I'm going to do with my next Tuesday night, Joe. I don't know what you're going to do if you have any plans, but we're off, so we'll have to figure out something to do. And then the next week is the off week for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series powered by iRacing. I believe we're going to be doing something. The best way to keep up to date is to get to your iRacing affiliate that you are watching, or follow us on Twitter at PSRTV or at iRacing, and that will be the easiest way to follow as to what we're doing in 2 weeks. We will be doing something. We're just not sure what we're doing yet. We will be back with the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series in July. I believe the date is July 13th when we will be racing next. On that Tuesday night there, it'll be Kentucky for this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series. Going to be exciting to see those guys hit that racetrack after being in the wide open spaces of this Michigan International Speedway. That'll wrap it up for us this evening. So for Ian Bushing, Joe Cortez, Michael Conti, thanks for joining us this evening in the booth. My name is Tim Terry. We'll see you next time when we say let's go racing in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series. Keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. You got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this.
I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.